Through the ever-unfolding dance of light and darkness, we are each on a journey to remember more of who we are. Aloha, multidimensional friends, shifters, people from all across this beautiful holographic matrix. This is Brendon, and you are tuned into another very exciting, educational, inspirational, soul-sparking, mind-expanding broadcast that we do through ParadigmShiftCentral.com, a real-world interactive game to help shift consciousness. And of course, this is another team-building circle, and the objective behind the team-building circles are something that we do every once in a while to be able to collectively gather as a community, to collectively be able to bring back the archaic and also the archetypal intentions of the roundtable discussion, to be able to help bring back together our shared stories, our shared visions, our shared intention, while collectively creating further momentum and inspiration for all of us as a global team of shifters. And shifters are people who are actively helping assist with the shift in consciousness. So we are shifters, we are light workers, we are light guardians, light warriors, Jedi, whatever term you want to use. We are people who are hearing the call to be able to help make a difference, who are awakening to our multidimensional reality, to our divine birthrights, to our potential as dreamers within the dream. And through these shared broadcasts that we do is an opportunity for us to continue to document that ongoing story, while continuing to, as I said, collectively focus our intentions, while continuing to grow and connect as a team. And this is all just about practice. Of course, this is about practicing communicating. So as I said, my name is Brendon, aka Skull Babylon, aka Wolf Shield, aka Wolf, aka Skull the Wolf. And thank you so much for joining in tonight. I'm joined by some fellow amazing shifters, and we are about to get going. So fellow amazing shifters from across the internet, I'm going to ask you guys to unmute your microphones and let's make some noise and send out some love to all the people who are tuned in there from across the interweb. So make some noise, make some love, send some love.
Yeah! All the way from
Australia.
Awesome. Sweet guys. Thank you for helping get the momentum rolling on this. And yeah, right off the bat, there is kind of there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about just in terms of being able to check in on what's new and what's happening within the Paradigm Shift Central project, as well as going over some of the objectives, going over some of the challenges, some of the problems related into just like shifting the paradigms these days. Because that's like a big thing that I've personally just been like meditating on, is realizing that, you know, every time, like, this ongoing shift in consciousness is something that a lot of us have been collectively dedicating ourselves to for quite some time. And we always have to be able to adapt to whatever environment we're in. And a lot of times that means adapting to the digital frontier of things, the electronic side of things, the way how the internet works these days. So we'll be getting a little bit more into that, related to just kind of talking about some of the social media tactics involved with the project. I'll share with you guys some basic updates in terms of like what I have been up to within the shift, and again, as another opportunity for us to be able to pass the talking stick around, to be able to hear a little bit more of what you guys have been up to, because that is, these talking circles, it's a great way for us to be able to just learn more about some of the amazing things that people are doing out there in the world. And again, if you're watching this broadcast and you're tuned in or listening in the future, please feel free to share this online, invite people to tune in. Again, these broadcast, this community project, is something that is an open invitation for people to collectively get involved as much as they choose to be. So just as a quick introduction, as a recap of like what it is that we were trying to do here, let me just give you a few written notes that I've got in front of me, just to make it easy and concise. And again, you know, we've been doing this for quite a while. Like, this project began back in like 2009 as an idea, and it started off as like a single club in my college of Fanshawe at the time, and has continued to grow. So allow me to just kind of go over some of the basics here, and I'll share with you some basic updates on what I've been up to in terms of shifting consciousness, some projects that I'm working on, and then from there we'll pass the talking stick around. So yeah, thank you again everyone for getting involved and for being a part of this collective sacred digital space. So some of the team objectives are to help encourage and inspire people to choose to be the change that they wish to see in the world. That in itself is like always the key thing that we kind of like want to go back to, you know, like that is the reason why this project exists. It is really to be able to help encourage people to choose to be the change they wish to see. When I started it, you know, it was just kind of going back to the idea of like, how can I help change the world? One of the ways to do it is by bringing community together, by bringing people together. And then from there, ideas exchange, growth happens, and inspiration is cultivated. So part of the ways as to how we inspire people to choose to be the change that we wish to see in the world is kind of like related to the ongoing points in terms of our objectives. But a big part of that is also where you start getting into the metaphysical aspects of realizing our potential. And this is something we can talk a little bit about later, because I'm talking about it specifically within the video that I'm working on for A Wrinkle in Time, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But it's going back to the idea of like cymatics and the idea of vibration and the idea of how wisdom is almost like a sword for us to carry into battle. Wisdom of certain ideas gives us the understanding of how much potential our actions actually wield, or our actions have the potential to wield. So that's something that we'll get a little bit back into later, but it's kind of going back to the core ideas of how vibrations that we carry literally change the reality around us. So, and it's going back to the idea of the power of love, quite simply. So other objectives within this project, and again, part of the reason why we're going over these is because we're always going to be having new people tuned into this project. So thank you again for those of you who may be new, and thank you bonus points to those of you who may be veterans. So other objectives: to help create a place where people are encouraged to document the shift in consciousness and develop their artistic abilities. So that's another key objective, is that like through the main website, like that's how it all began, as me as doing my YouTube stuff and everything. And then collectively, it became a community platform where people can submit blogs that we refer to as quest journals. And through the quest journals, they're encouraged to be able to document the shift in consciousness through images, through written, through video, through poetry, through song, through dance, whatever it is that they're doing. And that's something we'll get a little bit later into in terms of like what is the current status of the quest journals, and just some of like the challenges related to that and everything. Other features is like, just keep going through here: to help feature the creations of community members through social media, which is basically what I just mentioned; to help encourage and assist with the creation of physical paradigm shift communities. So again, this is like, these are all core objectives that we are all contributing to together. The idea of being able to create physical paradigm shift communities is such a powerful thing, because that is just the idea of that in itself is like the power, you know? So the paradigm shift communities, again, are about regular open-minded discussion meditation circles. I understand that there's going to be a lot of different people involved in different types of community events where they are in different ways, and that's awesome. Like overall, we just want to encourage people to get involved with helping shift consciousness where they are, helping build community where they are. If you want to call it a paradigm shift community, then that's totally cool, and you get to be a part of the collective momentum in that scope of things. So again, if you're thinking about creating a physical paradigm shift community, all you gotta do is find a location, put out the invitations, host a space, and repeat. And do this in collaboration through techniques related to social media. And it's a great way to be able to bring the tribe together and to be able to help accelerate the growth, not only as yourself as a leader, but also of those directly involved with the community. So again, this is all helping literally accelerate the shift in consciousness by bringing people together and knowing that we are already connected to those who we have yet to meet, which is a big thing that we always say here. Other things, to create digital community spaces for team building circles and other broadcasts to help continue to focus intentions, cultivate inspiration, and grow as a team. So this is getting a little meta here, because we're literally talking about the idea of the importance of the team building broadcasts. The team building broadcasts are something that are incredibly important. And, you know, it's just the idea that when we create that space for us to come together as a team, like that builds our roots, that like sinks us into our foundation, that allows us to kind of like really be able to accelerate things. And especially in this day and age, and this is something we'll talk a little bit about later, in terms of like how the internet functions nowadays, it's different. It's literally different from how it was like 3 years ago. Now things in the internet and in our mainstream society seem much more spread out, meaning people are very much just kind of like our interaction with each other through social media is oftentimes kind of like passive at best. And then when it comes to our like meaningful connections, those are fewer and far between. So even though we're all connected to like 5,000 friends on Facebook, like how many meaningful connections are we actually creating? These face-to-face team building circles are a way for us to bring back the intentions of meaningful connections, meaningful conversations, places where we are developing friendships, developing relationships, establishing our connection as a team, understanding the gifts and the talents and the skills that each one of us bring together, hearing each other's story, practicing listening, practicing being heard. And yeah, that's a very powerful thing, because again, that helps us grow as a team. You know, we can go like, so that's the thing with this project. Like sometimes there will be periods where there might not be a broadcast for maybe like a month. and it's kind of been the case in the last little bit, just with other stuff going on and everything. But in the midst of that, you know, we might go a month without a broadcast, but in the midst of that, it's totally expected and understood that every shifter, that every person is out there doing what they can to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness, or just working on themselves. And that in itself is helping assist with the bigger story. Like, that in itself is part of the inspiration that we're putting forward. So the team building circles in the broadcast, like, they're great because, you know, we'll go for a month without having seen each other, and then we come back and it's just like, boom, we're right back there. We're right back there, and we're just like bringing ourselves up to speed and everything. So those are really, really powerful. So just emphasizing that is a part of our objectives, to create these spaces for us to gather as community, to have these circle discussions. And again, these circle discussions can get really deep in terms of the metaphysical discussion, everything like that. So let me just go through this real quick. Again, just thank you everyone for just allowing me to get all this information out here. Because again, even with these broadcasts, like, this is because of the way Facebook works anymore, I can't depend on putting up a post and hoping that everyone who hears this broadcast will see that post. But knowing that if you've downloaded this broadcast, if you're listening to it, then thank you for your attention, because that allows me to deliver information to you in a way that is going to be effective, opposed to you having to like try and find a post that I put up a few weeks back. So like, by people listening to this collectively, it allows us to synchronize. So again, like, yeah, I'm Brendon, but I'm also you, right? So it's kind of like that idea of us kind of figuring out how to function as a single organism. So other things that we have to focus on within the collective objectives is to help raise the support of the team Patreon. There's not too much I'll say about that at the moment. To create conscious media, I mean, I will just say the Patreon is obviously fundamental to being able to help continue to grow the project. And for those who aren't familiar, you can sign up as a monthly supporter and get your Shifter Booster Kit. To create conscious media is a big part of what it is that we're continuously creating. And that's something that we'll talk a little bit about later, because like, obviously there is still so much conscious media that we have the potential to create. I myself am sitting on like dozens and dozens of videos that I haven't finished editing yet. But again, part of the discussion is, what is the conscious media that we can create together? What is the conscious media that you want to create in that sense? And also to be able to encourage people to engage in acts of shiftivisms, things such as free hugs where they are, to plant seeds, build community, to step into their leadership roles, and to help accelerate the shift and hack the matrix with love. So the idea of shiftivism is such a key thing, you know, like that. And this is something I again, you know, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I know I was going to talk about this later, is the idea that because of the way the internet works and because of the way the algorithms shakes fist, you know, in today's day and age, I honestly feel that my time is sometimes better spent downtown doing free hugs, making meaningful connections with people in my community, instead of spending like an hour or two online in Facebook land putting up a post that like 1% of my friends will see and barely anyone will continue to engage with. Not to say that it doesn't matter or it doesn't accomplish anything, but in today's day and age, like, if we really want to help accelerate things, we have to keep in mind the effectiveness of doing things like free hugs, of getting out there in our community, of like just taking that leadership role and having those face-to-face interactions, of being portals for synchronicity. So again, these are all just kind of the objectives. And again, my job, my role within all this is to be able to show up, create this space, to be able to put out this message, and to be able to remind you guys of things that I've already told you in many ways numerous times before. But it's important to be able to remind ourselves, like, literally, like, my objective is to like keep our focus concentrated, because when we don't gather like this, our objectives just kind of like lose their momentum, or they spread out, or people just kind of like feel like they just kind of like they kind of fall into the amnesia of society or something like that. And so simply by having these meetings, it's a great way for us to collectively remind each other and be like, oh yeah, like there's a team of us, there's a collective momentum that we are creating, there's a discussion that I am a part of. Like, I'm not just doing this on my own. This is something that is cultivating my shared inspiration. There is a sense of purpose that is created through the simple fact of us having this dialogue. And that dialogue is, again, about creating that shared narrative of what it means to be a global team of shifters, to be a global team of light guardians, have that resurgence of the real world light guardians. So yeah, by you listening to this broadcast, this is simultaneously a call for action for you to take action, for you to get involved with this project or just involved with the shift on any level to create conscious media, because that is a powerful thing. That's going to level up your abilities as an artistic person and just your abilities to express, create, and document. And again, to be able to potentially create paradigm shift communities, to go out there to do free hugs, to add your voice to this story, like it's key, man. And the more that the internet continues to spread us apart, the more that I realize that we have to be consistent and persistent and dedicated and resilient when it comes to these broadcasts. Because believe me, there were periods like a month ago where I was doing these broadcasts and, you know, I just didn't feel like people weren't showing up in the same way. And I'm like, okay, like, is this just a reflection of the times? Is this the social algorithms not reaching people? Is this just the momentum that's been lost? So I'm like, okay, how do we keep momentum, right? So by me being here today, this is like me just like sparking that flame again, you know? And this is something that is built upon the foundation of things that we have already been creating for the years ahead of us up to this point, and we'll continue to do for the years to come. Because again, like, there's a lot of great reasons as to why we can live this life, but when we find a purpose through service to be able to show up, to be able to help assist with the shift, to be able to remember that this is a journey of remembrance, to be able to help be in that place where you have found a sense of your own self-empowerment, and then be able to share that with others, to be able to help bring more joy and more inspiration and more vision into this world. Like, that's how we change it, right? Like, we change the world by changing ourselves. And when we change ourselves, we can change those around us. And that's the ripple effect. So again, you know, this is all stuff. A lot of you have heard me explain this before, but again, I'm just here to boost you. Like, that is my job. My job is here to boost you, to help facilitate, to help coordinate, to help listen, to help share, and to help grow as a team, and to ask that question of what does it mean to be a team of shifters? So that's basically the gist of what I kind of wanted to talk about. And within that, I kind of talked about a little bit of a list that I have here related to the problems that we are facing in this day and age, that weren't as evident, just like even like a couple of years ago, and not like within the day and age of like everything. That's like a different discussion, but specifically within the project of paradigm shift. And part of the problems and part of the challenges, again, is the efforts of being able to coordinate things effectively through social media. Facebook pages have practically died, which is an unfortunate thing. It's not to say that they're useless, but they are an echo of their former selves. As a result of this, the paradigm shift communities that have created paradigm shift pages across the internet throughout the past several years, we've like almost lost contact with all of those pages, because the individual admins have almost just like dropped those pages themselves, because they themselves felt that they were ineffective, or they just kind of like went on with another part of their story, which again is totally fine. But that's just like an issue of the problem that we're facing. We're running into these issues where it is challenging to be able to coordinate communication amongst the team through day-to-day social media networks. And again, that's just because, you know, I can post like literally today, right? I post a post on Facebook and I'm like, hey, who's tuning in for tonight's broadcast? People might not even see that post till like after the broadcast, and barely anyone are going to see that. And so, I mean, depending on Facebook is the time of the past, but we still have to use it. The best way to be able to coordinate our efforts is through alternative social media networks, such as our team Discord chat server, which I invite people to join in and use, as well as just our live chats, as well as paying attention to the team emails that I send out in that sense. But again, you know, like just kind of casually one-off is really all it takes. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not asking for people to like check in every day, but just being able to check in on the Discord server every now and then is totally cool. And again, people can join the Discord server through the main website. Again, if you haven't been on the main website, live.paradigmshiftcentral.com, you'll see the Discord chat button. Click through there. You don't even have to be a member to join. You can join in there, and it's pretty accessible. It's pretty easy. So through there, more and share and all the stuff. So again, part of the challenges have been morale and motivation, keeping the morale and motivation going. And I realize that is an echo of the energy that I put into this project too. If I step away from this project and if I don't do like any work for like a couple weeks, you know, things go silent, right? So like I realize that this, because I want to be able to see the objectives come into fruition even further. You know, I want more people to be inspired to create a paradigm shift community by the end of this broadcast. I want more people to be inspired to be able to help document the shift in consciousness and create their own YouTube videos that we can help feature. You know, I want to see more people get involved with the team Discord chat on a regular basis. I want to see more people move beyond these ridiculous Facebook habits that we have driven ourselves into. And it's not even our fault. Like, it's literally just a conditioning of the programming that we've been presented with. But it's becoming more and more obvious that more and more of us are just becoming bored of Facebook. So again, like, that's where, like, you know, inviting you onto the Discord chat, inviting you into these team building hangouts is super key. And just like inviting you again to get out there and engage with your community. Like, honestly, if it came between spending time on the Discord server talking to me or you being downtown doing free hugs or like you working on your own art, I would rather that, right? Like, I would rather you see that. Like, and then afterwards, feel free to check in with me and let me know how that goes. You know, one thing, just as an example, I'd love to be able to see people posting in the Discord server pictures of themselves doing free hugs. And this has been a big part of the project. But again, it's just been a bit of the challenge of terms of like how the internet works and being able to coordinate things through the website. I know the website's not perfect. It is what it is. It's working with what we got. And with the quest journals, understandably, they take a degree of attention to be able to submit something to them. It's not just your regular Instagram or Facebook post where you just do it in like, you know, 30 seconds or a minute and then it's up. With the quest journals, we're asking people to give a little bit more attention to it. Think of it as an individual art piece. So that in terms, that is related to like the titles, the paragraphs that you write into it, or the content that you're embedding, such as images or YouTube videos. And then through there, it's my job to be able to help edit and feature that content. One of the problems that we've been is just the fact that, you know, there's a lot that I have on my plate. And I'm trying to do my best to be able to coordinate a balance between working on my own media content versus managing the rest of the entire project. And I want to be able to get better at helping new quest journals get posted right away. And then again, once they get posted, part of the problems, quote unquote, is being able to like share those new quest journals through social media, which again just takes time. It takes time. But if you guys are able to like find quest journals that you like and share those through the website, or even just make a habit of checking the Paradigm Shift Central website on a regular basis, that is a great way to be able to help support it by giving your attention and by adding your own contribution to the content. And also keeping in mind that we do have the Paradigm Shift mobile app, which is designed to be able to create better communication through the team, to be able to help give you a better platform to be able to navigate things from your mobile devices. Well, also, this is like the key thing about the mobile app, why it's so important, is because it gives you the direct notifications through your mobile device. So rather than even just like me emailing you and you not getting the email, because that can happen sometimes, you know, that's one of the problems. Like on the main website, we have over 800 people with created profiles. I'll send out an email. I have no idea of how many people are even seeing that email. How many people's like, you know, how many times that email will land in a people's spam folder. I honestly don't know. You know, I'll constantly say like, hey, if you see this post, like feel free to comment or let me know. But even still, like the engagement isn't always there. And so, yes, this is like me inviting you to engage, well understanding that, you know, it is something that takes like a little bit of like extra degree of engagement. But when you think of this as a game, you know, like that's how we play the game. We play this game by interacting with each other. You know, if we were on a World of Warcraft server, eventually every now and then you'd go and you talk to your guild. So think of us as a guild, right? So like, let's talk with each other while we're kind of like moving in and out of objectives and, you know, connecting to like new parts of the map and like completing new missions and creating new weapons for ourselves through the creation of conscious media. And when we create conscious media, and again, I realize I'm talking right here, but again, just I knew I was going to talk like this because I just need to, there's a lot to be able to talk about. So thank you again for your attention. The intention behind creating conscious media, and I'll just say this because this is really important. The intention behind creating conscious media is double-edged. It's for you to be able to develop your own skills, and it's also to be able to help be a medium for inspirational messages. And that is something that we want to be able to keep in mind, you know, is that when you create your own content, you are creating something that we as a team will be able to shoot out into the internet like a laser of love. And that is like one of the best visualizations you can think of it. You know, think of Paradigm Shift as like a spaceship armada flying through the internet, flying through space, flying through the multiple dimensions. And our content that we create, the content that I'm creating, the content that you're creating, the YouTube videos, the good quest journals, that in itself is things that we can fire into the internet, and it will like pierce people's, like it will pierce the veil of apathy, and it will have the potential to like not only inspire people on multiple levels, but also invite them back to the project as well. So everything that we create, we are inviting people back into the project to be involved in that sense. So just reminding you guys of the importance of what it means to be able to create your conscious media. And again, that's where the big part of the project is from my end of things, being able to coordinate things so that when you guys are creating things, we're helping get it out there. And again, with social media, like honestly, guys, it's a kick in the nuts. Like social media is just like huge kick in the nuts these days because you will spend like you like honestly from my end of things, I will spend like a good hour like putting a post together and like sending it out there. And then it might reach like maybe 15 people, give or take. But that problem demands the solution of our collective coordination and our collective team effort. So again, one of the best ways to do that, I would just say, get involved with the team Discord chat if you're looking to get involved like on that level, because that's where we really get it. That's where I want to be able to get more into the ongoing chat with these things. And again, and I realize that like I have my own places to improve on, and believe me, like part of what I've been like carrying through this project is the idea of my own ambition being something that creates its own problems. Unfortunately, like it's just like the scope of the vision that I'm creating just means that there's like a heck of a lot more for me to manage. And so there are places within the project for people to help me manage those things, but a lot of it is things that unfortunately I just have to manage from a back end admin point of view myself. But again, I'm just working as best as I can to be able to get things functioning and flowing as best as possible to be able to help feature your guys' content, to invite people back, to make like the website experience a good experience, to get people involved with these team building broadcasts, to get people involved with the discussion, to help them create their own conscious media. And again, to go even further and just that final objective of encouraging people to choose to be the change they wish to see, to create physical paradigm shift communities, to get out there and to do free hugs. Those simple things add up on a collective level. Those literally change the world. They change the dream. They awaken people within the matrix. And that is a big thing. And it's an important thing. And all of us have a part to contribute. All of us are a piece of this bigger puzzle. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I had to share in terms of like the list of things that I had off here. I'm just debating in my head in terms of whether I just go into a little bit of my own introductions in terms of what I've personally been up to, or even just to kind of get some feedback from you guys. So let's do that first. Just considering everything that I just said, and considering that I could use a break from talking for a second before I get into just sharing with you guys what I've personally been up to in the last couple of weeks, because there is some stories there. Just in terms of like I went out and did free hugs on St. Patrick's Day. I had an experience with like I wanted to mention something about my good friend Roy who passed away and the meaning behind that, and just kind of like how that's affected me in many ways as well as just letting you guys know that the paradigm shift meetings have been going well, and letting you guys know what other projects I have in the works. So I'll mention that later, even though I just kind of mentioned it now. So with that said, let's use this opportunity just to, I want to be able to, as a team, like just with everything that I've said over the last, I realize it's probably been like a good amount of time, to get some feedback from you guys, in terms of our objectives and in terms of just what I was talking about with like the problems with social media, yet that in itself being also the rise to the solutions, or just a general feel of, how you guys are feeling related to the shift in consciousness. And we'll kind of segue those into the introductions as we go. So can I get if somebody wants to comment just now, just give me like a hands up or a peace sign or a thumbs up on screen, and I can pass the microphone over to you. And we'll obviously if there's no expectation. I'm sure some people got like something to say, but at the same time, I know you guys are listening. Anna, was that a thumbs up? Anna's got something to say. All right, so Anna, we'll pass the microphone over to you. And this is Anna from Australia. So Anna, go ahead when you're ready, and welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Oh, did you unmute my microphone already? All right. Yeah, I just wanted to say about the social media thing. I am experiencing. I feel your pain. I really do. I'm currently helping a really talented group of musicians launch their online presence, and it's been really difficult. Like you said, you spend hours or whatever making a post, and then you know it reaches hardly anyone. Uh, it's really important that everybody works together and everybody helps to share for everyone else. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, because if you're doing it alone, it's like bashing your head up against the wall. It really is. Yeah, I don't know. That'll do for now.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you for adding that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, you know, like some of the stuff that I was mentioning, like this isn't new news. Like a lot of us are experiencing this. Like that's the thing. That's the tricky thing that I've noticed with social media. There was a time back in the day where it was easy for me to feature my friend's content. Like I could share my own video and then I could share my friend's video, which might have been a YouTube link, through Facebook, and people would still see it. People would still engage with it. But now the way Facebook works is that, first of all, YouTube links and Facebook don't work together at all, like barely at all. And if I post like 2 things on my wall within like 1 hour, then it just like makes neither of them more likely to be seen. And so like that in itself is an issue. So because of this model that the internet's created, just like whether it's intentional or whether it's just like, I don't know, it's just really weird. But what it's causing is people are less motivated to support their friends and more focused on just being able to carry the weight of their own social media, because that is enough. And that's what I mean. Like I know my friends, like a lot of my shifter friends, you know, like they're managing their own social media presence. That takes like a lot of job, like a lot of hours to do, as like literally like an entrepreneurial job in a sense. You know, I just want to give like a shout out to like people in the chat. I just want to give a shout out to Brianna if she's still tuned in and stuff, you know, just as an example. Like, you know, Brianna has been involved with the paradigm shift community for years. She's in the chat in this broadcast. She's not in this broadcast, which is totally fine. But again, you know, like I haven't directly heard from her in a while, but I can only assume that like she is keeping herself busy simply managing her own things. And that's the case. And that's where like even for myself, like there is enough for me to do just managing my own work, just managing my own content and my own social media channels, that it makes it like an incredible challenge to be able to do that and align with my original intention of being able to collectively share the team's content. So like that's where, again, you know, rather than waiting for things to come through Facebook, if you can make a habit of checking the Paradigm Shift Central website on a, you know, even just like every other day or every few days or something, as we get into the habit of content coming through more regularly, that will go a long way. Because again, you know, like that's allowing you to be able to go to where the content is instead of expecting the content to come to you, because unfortunately we just can't expect the content to be delivered to us anymore. So yeah, just kind of like stating the obvious. So yeah, again, you know, thank you. Yeah, just shout out to Brianna. She's just like commenting in the chat and stuff like that, and she was just confirming that, yeah, that's a big 10-4. Thanks for the shout out, graduating in April and stuff. So again, you know, like obviously, like yeah, like anybody who's like working on their own social media stuff is obviously balancing that with other aspects of their life. And so like that's the thing where part of the problem within this day and age is so many of us have become so like focused on carrying everything that we're having to carry that it kind of like distances us from the immediate need or desire to help other people, because everyone's got their own shift that they're dealing with. But how can we collectively find ways to be able to support each other while still managing all the things that we have on our individual plates? And yeah, again, you know, like it's possible. These team building circles are one way to do it and everything like that, but it's a challenge, guys. It's a challenge. And again, you know, like I think just being able to talk about it is an important part of moving forward. Anybody else just got any comments related to just kind of things we were talking about like the overall objectives and just kind of like some of the problems and stuff? I'm not sure if Nick, if you had anything to share. I know Nick's usually keen on the social media stuff. Nick, go ahead. I got your microphone unmuted. When you're ready, dude. Welcome back.
No, I was just sitting here agreeing with most everything you just said. Yeah, this day and age, Facebook changes so much, and just so much social media just pales in comparison to Facebook. Still, even though it's not really potent anymore. So yeah, it's a struggle to try and find different ways to promote, you know, your own content, or try and build up some significant movement to share other people's content, or just work with social media in general. The thing that I've noticed though seems the most impactful on at least Facebook is using video through Facebook, like Facebook's video, still even YouTube, and like between the two of those, at least, maybe Instagram a little bit, that has the most possible impact on reaching an audience. So just for myself, trying to find different interesting ways to play around with video content specifically, just to try and evolve with the times, I guess, right now. So I definitely commend, you, Brendon, for all the hard work you're trying to do to support everybody and help to cultivate more collaboration and content sharing and such. I was just trying to look at Myanmar. I haven't looked at that in a while. Supposedly, I think it's like done now. It's supposed to be done like a month or so ago, but
Miramar or whatever it is.
However you pronounce that, man. Yeah, I butcher it all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that's what I'll have to say on the topic. I won't take too much time away from further discussion from other people.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it, and I know there's definitely a lot more to talk about. And in terms of introductions, Nick's got some updates to share related to a broadcast that he did just the other week, actually, and that's something that we can talk about as well. The numbers report broadcast. So we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, obviously with social media, again, it's really being able to have that discussion of where we are choosing to invest our time and energy. And so this is obviously moving into the idea of like, well, if Facebook isn't worth our investment time and energy wise, then like what is? And that's where we get into the other platforms such as Steemit, such as Miramar, as Nick was saying. You can get into minds.com, which we've used briefly in the past, which has some results as well. And then there's like a few other social media platforms. Like that's kind of the thing, is that like now it's kind of, everyone's kind of got their own social media platform or their own like social media network type thing that's kind of popping up here and there. But again, it's really picking and choosing which one is going to be the best investment of your time, because believe me, like I'm down to do the Steemit thing. I just haven't had the time to do it. Like, that's it. It's not that I'm like, like too lazy to do it or anything like that. It's just the fact that like in today's day and age, there is always something for all of us to be able to do. From my end of things, there's always something for me to do. There's work that I need to get done from like months and months and months ago. So it's just like, okay, where am I going to schedule in some allotted time to be able to, take a really cool content and put it onto Steemit. And I think that there is a good potential to be able to go get things more seen on Steemit, which again is going back to the idea of being able to get the messages out there. It's reflecting back on that idea of success and popularity. Success and popularity are two different things. We have to think of ourselves as ambassadors for these messages. That's a key thing in terms of like the shift in consciousness. Like, our objective is less to do with, trying to get as many views and subscribers as possible. But it's really about trying to be able to get the message out there as best as we can as an ambassador for that message in the first place. We have to be in service to that message. And what will that message be? That really depends on the content that it is that you're creating. So stay tuned, because I do want to be able to like get some of not only my own content up on Steemit, but also potentially other community people's content on Steemit. So say if somebody creates like a good quest journal, then potentially like we can post that through Steemit through a single account and then begin to like cultivate the momentum of that one. Because again, with Steemit, unless you've got somebody who's like already with high prestige in the community who's linked into your profile, then basically like it takes time and consistency to be able to collectively build the momentum. You can't just post one thing on Steam and expect it to be like perfect and go viral, and then if not, you quit. Like, it's literally, you do it, you kind of like test the waters, and then you come back and you post something else, and you come back and you post something else, and it's that consistency. So if I can find a way to like post something on Steemit maybe like once every other week or something like that, that might be enough. But again, these are more discussions that we can kind of have outside of this broadcast in itself. But I know a lot of people are a big fan of Steemit, and I am looking forward to being able to get in there, because I feel that with, if I were to sit down and like focus on my content, I could easily make some stuff that would go well over Steemit. such as the free hugs videos, such as like me doing like my Mystic Spider-Man free hugs videos, just because I feel that stuff is, it's things that are still uncommon. It's things that people are still looking for. It's things that would spark people's interest. So it's something we'll talk a little bit more about later in terms of like how to be better ambassadors for the information that we're getting out there, knowing that in doing so, it's helping spark inspiration, it's helping encourage people to create their own conscious media, it's helping empower people on multiple levels. And that is our objective, is to empower ourselves, to empower each other, and in turn to considerably continue to dissolve the illusions of society and to continue to decondition ourselves and to, again, become better dreamers within the dream, is something that we keep saying. So and even beyond that, there's like more to it than that, from like a higher dimensional level, so to speak. But yeah. Okay, I think we can probably get into like basic like introductions and stuff, but I do want to be able to like talk more about any strategies or techniques that you guys want to talk about, but also just talk about, what is the state of the world? Where is the shift these days? This is really just about being able to check in and be able to share our perspectives in that sense. So does anybody else, before we move into like general, not just introductions, but general kind of like updates from individuals in terms of our missions and our journeys and our quests, then we'll do that. And sorry, let me just respond real quick, because Anna was asking when her quest journals are going up. So again, Anna, yours plus a few others are quest journals that I'll be getting up within this next week. So there's a good probably about like at least like half a dozen or a dozen quest journals that I just haven't fully published at this point yet, because I want to be like present when I publish them, because it's about publishing them and then about like curating them, about being an ambassador for them. So yeah, Anna, stay tuned. Anna's got some content that she submitted, and then we'll be able to post that, and then you guys can check on the Paradigm Shift Central website, and under quest journals you'll be able to see Anna's content under there as well, and again, submit your own. So thank you, Anna, for helping lead by example in that sense. Okay, so does anybody have any comments? I'm just even checking in. Eddie, we haven't heard from you yet. I'd be curious if you just have any sort of general feedback in terms of, like how the Paradigm Shift Central project is working for you, and maybe, what are the ways that we can continue to grow and build its success towards these objectives in the coming future. So, Eddie, I'm going to pull your microphone up, and thank you for joining, man. It's always great to have you here, and welcome back once again. So, Eddie, when you're ready, dude.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks a lot, Scal. And you can hear me all right?
All good. Yep.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, it's been a while since I've kind of been connected to the last hangout. I'm always watching in the background, but due to time differences, it's usually the middle of the day here when it's the evening, the night before in Canada, America. But yeah, I'm a shifter. I'm right into consciousness. There's lots of things that I do and know. I've struggled over the last few years to try and find a name to associate with, or a title or something, because I'm a bit of everything. I haven't really specialized in one thing or another. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And yeah, I really enjoy just being connected to other like-minded people through Paradigm Shift. And I'm always here to share and help and support. And not the biggest on social media. I really only have Facebook. And just try and keep an eye on things. I really enjoy studying global politics. Where I'm at with my spirituality at the moment is more about understanding human nature, psychology, what motivates people, evolution, advanced concepts, non-verbal communication, just trying to see reality for what it really is. Because I know people put up a front on the internet. When you're behind a screen, you can pretend to be anything you want, but until you get engaged face to face, it doesn't really get real. And you can take things away from social media and help you, that might help you with your life. But yeah, those social connections where it's one-on-one or a small group where you're engaged emotionally, you can feel each other. It's different, and that's really lacking in the world at the moment. And now social media is getting to the point where we're all individuals on the internet rather than connected as well. I feel that and sense that too. There's a massive separation. There's so many of us on this planet, but yet there's not a lot of action. There's still all the old institutions and ways of doing things and acceptance. And I don't know, this young generation's different. And we're starting to wake up a bit and see things for what really is, and realizing that we are the ones that need to create the new options. Because if we don't, the older people that have established everything, that they want to keep things the way it is. Yeah, it's challenging. It's very challenging. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just cruising through life, doing the best I can. I've got a good job. I'm married, got a daughter, and trying to understand myself better as a human and a spiritual being incarnated inside this body. And I can open my third eye and talk to non-physical entities. And it's really amazing stuff, how everything overlaps and interacts. And you'd be surprised how the most non-spiritual humans that you could think of are actually much more advanced than what you think. It's just the nature of reality. We don't get to see things for what it really is when we're in our bodies. There's more going on outside of our bodies, outside of our senses in reality. And that's where I try and focus my attention and my awareness to learn and grow, because it's a very new area of knowledge. It's ancient, but it's misunderstood. And it needs young people like us to try and reinterpret it and spread it out into the world. There's so much potential for change, but it takes a lot of courage to overcome fears and customs and taboos. But yeah, I suppose that's part of the challenge why we're here. That's kind of, I don't know, where I'm at.
Cool, man. That's perfect. Awesome. Sweet. Thanks, Eddie. That's awesome, man. That's a good introduction. So sweet. All right. And yeah, like I think again, within this objective of like helping encourage people to choose to be the change they wish to see, within that, like part of our objective is to be able to encourage people to adapt better habits, to challenge old belief systems, to develop mindfulness, to eat healthy, to eat consciously, to develop good relationships with their environment, and to be able to, become students of the universe, become students of like this ancient wisdom. And that in itself is something that, is really important, because I think, without having to get too much into it, one thing that we're kind of like seeing within today's like day and age potentially is that there is kind of almost like a fad towards like spirituality, and people they're like deceiving themselves in terms of like how they sort of like adopt like a spiritual identity within their personality and stuff like that. And I'm not saying, like everyone's going to be at their own place, and that's totally cool, because sometimes we have to kind of be able to like go through our own kind of hypocrisy or bullshit in order to be able to break out of it and stuff. But, beyond just kind of the superficial spirituality that we can wear, as a label or something that we identify with, I think what's important is, again, simply by me just saying these words to remind people of the importance of practicing healthy living within our own day-to-day lives, of the importance of being able to practice mindfulness, of the importance of being able to like be conscious enough to be able to see the lessons that are unfolding in front of us, and to be able to move through those with as much grace and as much mindfulness as possible. And then like out of that, the intention behind doing all of that is to be able to literally level up our character so that we can show up in better service to others in our community. Like that would be the key thing. So again, going back to that metaphor that like this literally is a game. This is like an online multiplayer game that we are playing here. Think about that. What are the ways that you can level up your character? And oftentimes that means doing something that is different from something that you've done before, breaking old habits. You know, if you're just doing the same old, same old, same old, same old, even from a spiritual practice perspective, how much will that continue to level up? So sometimes you gotta like change it up a bit. Sometimes you gotta like find new ways to you know, refine your habits and things like that. And so again, you know, even example would be developing better focus within your dream practices, which is a huge topic that we talk about within this project in general. And so again, you know, all of these things are allowing us to literally work towards that idea of what does it mean to not only be human, but to tap into the potentials of what it means to be human, to become proto-human, if we want to use that term, even though that's whether that's a real term or not. But you know, it's kind of referring to the idea that again, within this shift in consciousness, it is us tapping into latent abilities or forgotten abilities that are actually a part of our human experience. And one thing again, and this is I'll just say this and we'll pass the talking stick around to more people. Within the conscious movie review that I'm doing for A Wrinkle in Time, part of the reason why I'm doing it, and this isn't a spoiler or anything like that, but it's like related to the awareness of fifth dimensional entities within this reality, yet also the idea of understanding that we in ourselves are fifth dimensional consciousness in like a 3D form, so to speak. You know, maybe some people will have their own interpretation of that, but it's again, it's just like really kind of opening up the discussion to ask the questions of like, what does it mean to be human? What are we capable of? What is our purpose? What is our duty? And our duty is not to just scroll through our Facebook feed. Believe me, our duty is to refine and evolve our consciousness while being able to help assist others along our way. And, you know, like that is kind of like the path of the bodhisattva, so to speak. So let's keep passing the talking stick around, and we'll just hear a little bit more from the other shifters to get some additional voices into this conversation circle. And as we continue to allow the story to naturally unfold. So if someone would like to go next, either just raise their hand or just kind of like bring themselves up on camera and or just like give a thumbs up or whatever. So we got Jesse, we got Nick, we got I believe that's it's Fennel, but it's also it's not Jarrell. I forget. Sorry, dude. I always forget your name just because it's been a while, but I know you're in the chat and stuff like that too. And also Vincent. I'm pretty sure it's Vincent. Is it Vincent? No, it's not Vincent. Maybe it is. Sorry, I got a few names on my mind that I have to keep track of, guys. And we also got Anna. But Jesse, I saw your hand up there. If you would like to go next, just put a thumbs up again, Jesse, if you want to go next. We can pass the talking stick over to you. Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, so we'll pass the talking stick over to Jesse. So again, just in terms of introductions, if you want to talk about anything that we've talked about up to this point, that's cool. General introduction would just be who you are, where you're from, and what you're doing to help assist with the shift in consciousness, or just like any projects that you might be working on, any community involvement that you might be working on, just any sort of inspiration that you'd like to bring to the table, as well as a general introduction of who you are. So Jesse, welcome to the roundtable, and thank you so much for being here, and I'll bring up your microphone, and when you're ready, go right ahead, dude. So
yeah, is my mic working?
Microphone is working. You're good to go.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. So you could hear me? Oh, fine.
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Go ahead, man.
All right. Okay. Man, it feels amazing to actually be on here and make an introduction for the first time. I've always wanted to do this for like a year now because I've been following what you're doing with the Paradigm Shift Central. Yeah. What am I doing to shift the paradigm? Well, I haven't shifted any paradigms really until now, which is my own paradigm. Actually, I'm working on it still. Can't say I've shifted it fully yet. It's like waking up, right? It's like waking up to how immense this shift is. And I really wanted to start it with myself before I ever moved on to bringing it to the outside world. So I definitely feel like I've accomplished getting to the point of seeing myself for what I have to do to create change in the world through myself. and I'm just getting started. And this is my first introduction here, so things are good. Yeah.
That's awesome, Jesse. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Do you remember how you found out about Paradigm Shift? I know you said it was a while ago, but just curious.
Yeah, you're giving buttons away.
Did
You're
we meet?
good.
Did we meet in person or?
Yeah, one time I chased you down in Toronto.
In
Remember?
Toronto? Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's awesome, man. Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet. So are you in Toronto right now? I'm not sure if you mentioned that already. Or...
No, I'm not. No.
Okay. Okay. Are you in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm
Sweet,
Canada.
sweet. Awesome, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet, man. If you don't mind me asking, just to kind of like allow you to even just practice talking and stuff like that, how do you feel that your sort of like paradigms have shifted over the past several years? You know, like if you remember like how the world used to look versus how it looks now, you know, like what new knowledge do you feel have you integrated into your perception, if that makes sense? In a general sense.
Yeah, it was what it was. You know, it's really God that puts us on this path, right? Like, and helps us see things about ourselves, important things about ourselves, which are hard to get to if we're always blocking it out. And these emotions in ourselves and places in ourselves, or environments or smells or anything, is all accessible. And it's what we need to transform in order to do this paradigm shift stuff. So that's how I'm working on myself, is going to these places and then taking out into the world in a safe context, I could say, like one where all the shadow can also be accepted and turned into light in a safe context, because it's not safe when we start introducing each other's beasts to ourselves through friendships and relationships. So I finally feel like I'm growing out of my childhood self that's afraid of everything and wants to hide, and I'm bringing it out the world, because I did stay in a cabin in the woods for like 2 years. So it's not the answer, I figured out. like Sai Sister said,
Oh, just checking in. I think we might just have a small hiccup there. Not sure if Jesse froze, but we'll just keep on talking for a second until he may or may not come back. Stay tuned. There it is. Okay, good. All right, Jesse, you're still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you just cut out for a second there, but
okay.
That's okay.
All right. So did you get that?
Yeah, I heard you talking about how you're like up in a cabin for a couple of years, but you said that wasn't the answer. And then
yeah, that wasn't. Yeah. Well, so
go ahead.
Yeah. So the paradigm shift is our relationship with God and ourselves. So two very far points from each other, but also able to communicate. Yeah.
For sure.
And and the Virgin Mother is always there to guide us on our path with synchronicity and everything. So that's my 2 cents.
Word, man. I dig it. Yeah. And yeah, you know, like I like the idea that, you know, a big thing within community in general is being able to, you know, have these collective different like different paradigms, I guess, of being able to understand you know, our own relationship to the world, and different people are going to do that through different language and different contexts and everything. So I think it's cool for you to just be able to, you know, use your own language in terms of like thinking of your paradigm shift as a relationship between yourself and God. Again, you know, like from my own personal way, like I guess everyone kind of has like their own definition of God and everything like that. But, you know, like I think it's totally cool for people to still be able to use language that is often associated with religion in a way that can still be, you know, still open to like many new ideas and everything like that. That doesn't have to contradict. Again, you know, the whole idea of this is understanding that like there are many different paths up the mountain, but understanding that together we are going up that same mountain is kind of the idea, and then just finding ways to support each other and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of interesting how you mentioned that like even Mother Mary is like somehow related to the idea of like synchronicity and things. Is that kind of what you were saying? Is that like Mother Mary is kind of like an energy that relates to kind of like interactions and synchronicity? I'm not sure if Jesse froze there. We'll just give it a second and stuff. But I was going to see if Jesse was back. I was going to ask him just one more question, and then I think we're going to pass it over to Anna. Anna, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go next in general and stuff. Okay, cool. All right. So I think Jesse froze, but we'll check in with him. But again, you know, just taking a second here to note the fact that, as Jesse said himself, he is synced up with this project because he ran into me doing free hugs in Toronto. I live in London, Ontario. Toronto's like a couple hours in the other direction, but Toronto's like a big city here in Canada, for those who aren't familiar. So like, again, you know, like that is an example of a seed planted. That is an example of a ripple effect. Like whether I'm doing that or whether you're doing that, just think about the difference that makes, where, you know, me going out there, doing free hugs, evoking the synchronicity, connecting with Jesse, giving him a hug, giving him a shift button. And then years later, here he is connected with this project. And again, you know, I was going to ask him, like, what are some of the things that he would like to do to be able to help shift the paradigms, you know, in terms of maybe artistic expression or just continued further development. But we'll check in. We'll see if Jesse jumps in a little bit later, and we'll hear a little bit more from him. But again, you know, just another awesome example of why this matters and why it works and how you can do this too. Again, you know, so the shift buttons, those are powerful tools that we have created for all of us to be able to use to be able to help accelerate the shift in some awesome ways. Okay, so I think Jesse jumped back in there. Hey Jesse, you're still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, man. I'm just can I just ask you like one more question in general?
Okay.
Just kind of as we get to know each other and stuff like that. I was just gonna ask, what do you feel are some things that you would like to do in the future to be able to help contribute to the shift in consciousness, so to speak, be it through maybe like artistic creations or community involvement, or even just further working on yourself and such. Are there any things that you have in mind that you feel called to create in terms of like your skills or share in that sense?
Yeah, I would start off by doing free hugs, not exactly the way you're doing it, in like my own metaphorical way, like just having random conversations with strangers at least once a day kind of thing. Maybe like multiple amounts of groups of people, just have those interactions, which could feel like hugs. Like doesn't necessarily have to be a physical hug, but and then maybe there will be hugs. Who knows? So that's actually that's where I want to jump in as I step out of the cabin, which is quite isolating. Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, again, you know, like that's awesome. That's perfect. That's exactly the objective of why we promote things like free hugs, is to promote that invitation for social interaction, to create those heart-to-heart connections, to create that communication. And again, you're right, like free hugs is just one of the many ways in which we can go out there and engage with our community. Like you can get creative with it. You can create like your own sign, you know. And I've seen a video of a kid doing this like in a subway in New York, and it just says like, you know, just it would just be like advice, like $1 or something like that, like life advice, $1. Then you just kind of like sit there, and then people just kind of like come up to you, and you just being there opens up a plethora of possibilities, and you never really know. But if you're there in a good like heart-centered place, people will see that, people will acknowledge that, and amazing things will come out of it. So again, you know,
this
just
doesn't cost
encouraging
any
people.
money.
Exactly, right? And it's like, honestly, like sometimes like it's, yeah, you know, it's crazy how afraid we are to do something like that, but doing something like that in itself is actually incredibly exciting. Just to be able to connect with people on that level. So yeah, really encouraging people to go out there and to think about the ways that they can engage with their community in ways that are comfortable for them, yet also in ways that challenge their comfort, while acknowledging that, you know, where does that discomfort coming from in the first place? Why are we afraid to give free hugs? But, you know, oftentimes when we do it, suddenly it helps us kind of break through the shell of that discomfort that we might have. But yeah, Jesse, I think that's a great idea, man. Just in whatever form you do it, just getting out there and holding space for people, allowing them to be heard, listening to them, spreading the love. That's what it's all about, man. And stuff like that gets seen, that makes a difference. People will talk to you, they'll go home and they'll be like, yeah, you know, like I met this guy and we had this great connection, and you know, and then that may inspire the inspiration even further. And you never know how far the ripples go, but that's what matters at the end of the day. So, you know, the love that we share. So cool. Awesome. Jesse, is there anything else that you would like to share, just in terms of like an introduction for with the team, or even just like a message for the other shifters out there, if you would like, just anything short and sweet?
Yeah, it's believe in magic. I don't know.
Yeah, share it. What was the second part? What was the second thing? Believe in magic. And
I just said, yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool.
Believe in magic.
Perfect.
And I hope I can join more of these hangouts.
Cool, man. Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining. It means a lot for me to know that someone who I gave a button to a year ago is like now in the hangout. Like, that's awesome. That's exactly why we do it. So the ripples are real. So cool. Magic is real.
You actually gave me the button 3 years ago or something.
Seriously? Oh my God, man. Like, I'm trying to remember all the times that I gave free hugs in Toronto and stuff. It was a while ago.
Yeah, see a lot of faces.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Well, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Right.
I'm glad it happened. So sweet. All right, Jesse, thanks again for joining, man. We'll chat more as we keep going. So thanks, man. Awesome. All right, so we'll keep bouncing around with the talking stick. Again, I'll get into sharing a little bit more of like my own personal updates and stuff a little bit later. I'd like to just be able to pass the talking stick to our friends first. So we do have, again, we have Eddie, we have Jesse, we have Nick, we have Fennell, and we have Anna as well. So Anna, did you want to go next? I think, yeah. Okay, thumbs up. We'll pass it to Anna, and Anna can take the talking stick and share a little bit of in terms of updates or whatever else you would like to bring to the circle. So Anna, when you're ready, you can unmute your microphone and go right ahead.
Thanks, Brendon. Yeah, so I'm Anna, aka Sire Sister. I'm from Australia, and I met Brendon about 2014 because I commented on a video that I'd watched on YouTube, and he was like, "Hey, thanks for watching. Why don't you come on over and hang out with us?" So just want to say, keeping tabs on your social media and commenting and being active within that is really, really important. That's how you get engagement. Yeah, so thank you, Brendon, for that, because it's been an amazing experience so far. Updates. I've pretty much just launched my own design studio online, my first business. Yay! I've been working on it for like 5 years, so yeah, as I said before, I'm helping an amazing group of musicians launch their online presence. So that it's Plur Life Records. You should go check them out. They're awesome. And so Plur stands for peace, love, unity, and respect. And that's exactly that's just what it's all about, isn't it? They're an amazing group of like a community of artists and musicians. But it's more like family, and that's just because we take the time and we to hang out, to catch up, to have fun together, and yeah, look, it's amazing, and that's what I love about the shift. Yes, it goes quiet from time to time, but it's really rewarding actually, because we're all off doing our own thing, and then you know, I'll see a post from Brendon or something like that, and it sort of gives you it's like a little kick in the pants and a reminder to say, oh, hey, yeah, that's right, we're all here. um, so yeah, keep doing that, keep updating each other, check in every now and then. um, Thanks for the love, guys, and thanks for letting me speak. Yeah, thanks, Brendon.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna. And yeah, I like the idea that the band that you're with is called Plur, or helping is called Plur. And
yeah.
The band is called Plur. And then Plur is also like the kind of phrase within the EDM, the electronic dance music, or like the rave culture that they also use. They also use that Plur, peace, love, unity, and respect. And yeah, so that's kind of it's the same thing in that sense. But yeah, a lot. Go ahead.
They're not a band. Sorry, they're not a band. They're just a group. I guess they all met on StarMaker. They hang out in the party rooms. But
are they into EDM? Is it like an EDM group, kind of?
Not really.
Okay.
It's sort of like you sing your covers, but there's a lot of musicians doing their own, bringing their own style and stuff to it. They're really encouraging people to do original work. And yeah, by launching online, we're trying to, feature other people, not just, we're not just trying to promote ourselves. It's about letting people know that there's a group that they can come to and they can feel relaxed, and we'll support each other. And because individuality, it's really hard to get your content out there, as we've been talking about. So that's what we want to do. We want to help everybody have a chance to be heard. I mean, we're thinking, we're working on perhaps doing an online radio station. I mean, that could be something that's in the future. Maybe even some CDs or whatever, but we'll see what happens. And and actually, from watching how you run things and how you do things, I've been able to give them heaps of pointers and tips on the online presence thing. We're working on doing the live videos really soon, because I've said to them, it's really important, even if it's a 5-minute update, say, hey guys, we're here, come and join us, we're doing this. And yeah, moving on. So thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna. And yeah, again, just like reiterating the importance of community, especially to those, like for us, like we're already in it. We're already in community, like we've already kind of like got this tribe that we've been building. So it's kind of easy to kind of like lose scope of what it means to someone who doesn't know about it yet. And that's kind of, again, that's part of the reason why our objective as ambassadors is to be like ambassadors for conscious media, for ideas, and also for community. That way, so we're like inviting people back, because we want to be able to find those people who are kind of putting out the vibration of wanting to be able to attract with that conscious community, but they just haven't found it yet. And then so when you go out and you do free hugs or doing even things through online social connecting and stuff like that, you're going to come across those people and they're going to be like super grateful to be able to know that there's potentially a physical meetup community in their location. Like that's, again, that's a huge step within an individual's journey to go from studying things alone in my room and looking on chat forums until I get bored of it, to being in person with someone and having a heart-to-heart connection and being able to talk about things and being able to talk about like a meaningful topic over the course of like several hours that was like more meaningful than anything that took place online over the past like 3 months or something like that, right? So like whenever we meet in person, things accelerate. Like there's just an expediency in terms of like the amount of experience, the amount of like just heart opening compassion that takes place and everything like that. So yeah, again, within this, really just encouraging you guys, be mindful, make it your intention to be aware of like what are the ways that you can help create community where you are. So whether it's creating a physical paradigm shift community, whether it's just going out and doing free hugs and making those one-to-one community connections, even if they're just like transient, if they're temporary in that moment but they're still meaningful in that moment. There's lots of other ways. I just want to mention, I know our friend Hector is probably going to be on a little bit later in the broadcast. He said he was going to show up later, but he's been rocking it with the paradigm shift community, Reno, where he is. And I know he's got some updates that he wanted to share about how that community has evolved. And again, the difference that it's making in people's lives and stuff. And honestly, again, guys, just kind of like to give you an overview, honestly, like I said, when this project began over the years, when Facebook pages were different, we were just like, yeah, you can create a paradigm shift community where you are, start a Facebook page, create the meetups, go. Like there have been like at least over 50 paradigm shift communities online through Facebook. Now, I honestly don't have a clear scope as to what the numbers are on those communities. I hate to say it, but again, this isn't me saying it like with like a sad face or anything. It's just like, it is what it is. But like, I'm pretty sure that there are like maybe a handful of paradigm shift communities that are still existing and active. And to that degree, I mean, not just something that's a Facebook page, but something that actually is having physical paradigm shift meetups. Like honestly, Paradigm Shift London, the one I'm in, and Paradigm Shift Reno are the other one. And there may be a couple others, but I might not even know about them. Like it's possible that there are paradigm shift communities happening out there that I don't even know about. And like I know there was one that like was happening for a while that I didn't even know about, and then it kind of like transformed into its own entity, sort of thing. But again, like this is just kind of, that in itself is a side effect of the just like the way how social media kind of distances people and things, so there could have been like lots of different reasons and stuff, but that doesn't stop the idea of people creating a paradigm shift community tomorrow, just because like paradigm shift communities have kind of like come and gone and everything. Part of our objective is to like just encourage these to constantly be created. But yeah, the most powerful thing about the paradigm shift communities isn't whether there's like 5 or 50. It's about the idea. And regardless of whether there's 5 or 50, that idea will still be equally as strong, because it will continuously be equally relevant and equally potent, if not more relevant and more potent, as we continue to move forward and as things become incredibly obvious that like the communities are, what is needed and things like that. So this is, again, that further invitation for people to help be a part of that next wave of paradigm shift communities. And if you are going to create a community, let me know through the Discord chat. And that is one way to do it. You can also submit an admin form through the main website. That can let me know one way as well. But yeah, there's infinite potentials to be able to do that. And it's not really relative to whether or not it's like being documented on Facebook necessarily. So yeah, but again, you can do it. You can do it. So if you build it, they will come. It's seriously like, it's that simple. It's that exciting, and it's a part of the game. So build that and observe like what happens next. Okay. seriously, I could just like sit here talking for 5 hours, just reminding you how to like create a paradigm shift community if I wanted to, but there's more stuff to be able to talk about. Anna, you said you're heading out in a bit. Let us know when you're heading out and if you have like any message you want to share before you have to head out. In terms of passing the talking stick around, Nick, did you want to share some stuff? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then I'm not sure if Fennell is there, but they can share some stuff too. So Nick's going to share a little bit of updates. Again, I mentioned before, me and Nick, we kind of like work within the same genre of like creating social media and things like that. And I just want to applaud Nick because like Nick is one of only a small amount of people who I've seen like actively organize other Google Hangouts with a specific broadcast intention, such as what we are doing here. And he did it again, you know, using the same tools, using Google Hangouts and YouTube, and using Facebook to promote the event. And last week, or I think it was last week or the week before, they did another episode of the Numbers Report. And just as a quick introduction, Nick will be able to tell you a little bit more about that and even how it went. That's like a open discussion, community discussion, broadcast / podcast, where they talk a lot about synchronicities and not only that, but being able to document synchronicities. So it's really cool. I'll be honest, I've only caught glimpses of it, and that's not because of the fact that I don't find it interesting, but it's just like, again, just lots of things going on in our day-to-day lives, and I wish there was like 40 hours in each day. But again, Nick's been doing some awesome stuff, and I just want to be able to pass it over to him for him to be able to introduce that and any other thing. So Nick, thumbs up, man. Thank you so much for coming back. I'm going to pass it over to you, and you can unmute your microphone, and when you're ready, you can begin. So go ahead, Nick. Hold on. Do you got it? Yeah. Okay. You're good now.
So
all good.
am I unmuted?
You're good. Go for it.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah, my computer's a little glitchy. You know, thanks Mercury retrograde, of course. But yeah, hopefully, you know, we can hold it strong here. But yeah, my name is Nick Bryce. Been, you know, following along Paradigm Shift for a number of years. The 3 Days of Light, the very first one, Brendon. And yeah, just creating conscious media definitely has been part of feel is definitely recently shifted into digital media. It's like froze completely. I don't know if people can hear me or not right now. Everybody's face is frozen.
I can still hear you, Nick. If you can hear me, go ahead, keep going.
You can hear me? Okay. Yeah. Everybody's frozen, but if you can hear me, that's
audio's
great.
Coming through, so that's good.
I'll just continue. Hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, so perfect faith that it's being heard. So yeah, I started to
Oh, wait for it. Wait, okay. Now I think we're getting that lag that he was talking about. Oh, well, this happens sometimes. So, like I said, we'll just kind of give it an extra few seconds here, but I'm pretty sure Nick is going to have to rejoin in a second. So that's okay. Nonetheless, so, yeah, like I said, I did have some updates of my own that I was going to be able to share. I know Eddie kind of introduced themselves already, but I wasn't sure if there was like more stuff that Eddie wanted to be able to talk about, or just even just checking in with people in the live chat. What are some topics that you guys would like to see talked about tonight on tonight's live chat in tonight's team discussion? Be it like a question about like metaphysics. Again, I was kind of going back to the idea of like the importance of recognizing like cymatics and kind of like what that means. And again, just like equipping ourselves with wisdom is something that I've been reflecting on. So like, what are some key ideas that simply by being aware of them can help give us the confidence and the inspiration to like move forward within this world? And so again, part of the way I approach that is understanding like the wisdom that reflects our potential within this reality. So maybe I can just even like kind of like check in with Eddie. You know, Eddie, if I had to like ask you, like, what are some things that you feel that if people understood more about, it would help give them like the additional inspiration and empowerment to be able to help be the change that they want to see in the world. Be it related to like how thoughts create, how vibrations create form, how love transmutes hate, how synchronistically we're already connected with each other, and how we're nonlinear beings. Again, I'm just like, all these are like ideas I could get into further. But Eddie, do you kind of, or Jesse, or anybody really, Eddie, if you kind of catch a drift of where I'm blowing the wind, do you want to be able to like add in and just kind of share a little bit of some valuable wisdom that you feel people would be able to benefit from in terms of being able to help shift consciousness? Eddie, give me a thumbs up if you're there and want to be able to contribute. Eddie, can you hear me? Oh, hold on. Maybe not. Okay. I'm not entirely sure if Eddie was entirely present for Eddie. Can you give me a thumbs up if you're listening? I don't even know if Eddie's listening right now. That's all right. Hey, Nick, are you back? Sorry, Jesse, I got your microphone muted, so I'm not sure if you were saying something. Jesse, were you saying something there?
No.
Go ahead if you were. Okay. All right. No worries. If you want to say something, just like give me a thumbs up at some point and I'll unmute you. No worries. Eddie, are you there at all? Give me a thumbs up if you're listening, Eddie. I don't even think okay. No worries. Hey, Nick, are you there? Let me check in with Nick. Nick, go ahead and try communicating if you can, and we'll coordinate this. So again, in the meantime, this is a huge thank you to all our Patreon supporters who have been contributing to the Paradigm Shift Central Patreon that allows for the ongoing contributions that support the ongoing evolution of this project and everything like that. So sign up at patreon.com/Brendon Culliton and get your Shifter Booster Kit with your light guardian crystals. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know when you get your light guardian crystals now that they all come with like the multicolor light changing light guardian crystal? Did you know that, guys? Well, now you do. So sweet. All right. It looks like Jesse, or sorry, I keep getting you guys' names mixed up. It looked like, okay, Anna's still here and Nick is rejoining. All right. Everyone's kind of in and out. Hey, Nick, are you back?
I hope so.
Okay, you're back. All right, don't worry. We just took a time for a little like quick promo break there. So, Nick, let's pass the talking stick back to you. You were just kind of getting into what you're talking about.
Do this again to me.
Creating conscious media, and yeah, give us a little bit more about fill us in on what the numbers report is. Maybe a little bit of your like intentions behind it, and how it's been going. So, Nick, if you'd like to share that plus anything else, go right ahead, man. And links for your stuff and all that. So
yeah, sure, I can link after I talk about it a bit. So I'm not sure how much you guys heard before I realized it dropped me. So I'll just say again, our podcast had this idea for about a year and finally put it into motion a couple months back. The whole idea and concept behind it is to document, like Brendon was saying, experiences when people see numbers such as the 1111 or other significant numbers that, and I say significant, like numbers that you feel you see at an unusual rate is significant. So documenting stuff like that, taking photos, and we post them in a group called the 1111 Mystery School, which I will also share. And people have been sharing their sightings, and we're able to archive them, and we compile them each month. And what we do on the Numbers Report podcast is we talk about them, and we also look to see if we can use math to use statistical hypothesis testing to figure out if it was actually significant that a number was seen, how it was. For example, one example we did on our last podcast, I actually posted a whole archive of photos. It was over 200 photos long or large that people collected, and dropped it in the group. And I didn't notice the time that I had made the post, but I went back later and noticed that I had shared the archived sightings of the photos at 1:11 a.m. in the morning. And I was like, oh, that's kind of serendipitous, because the whole point of like that's a common number that is seen
Hey
through.
Nick, what time is it right now?
It's 11:12 on my computer, but
That counts. That still counts. Means
Probably
it was 11:11 a second ago. So
okay, yeah. If you're paying attention, it was in there. But
go ahead, keep going.
yeah, the angels or whatever are just giving a heads up. But so anyways, so the whole thing, like, we don't know what is causing the numbers. Like, I can't like scientifically say, you know, I have my own opinions. But what we can do, like, for example, the 111 post of like all these number sightings, I took a look at that and tried to use math to show that it actually was significant to see or to post at 111 randomly. And how I did that was I took the numbers or the amount of minutes in a day, which turned out to be 1,440 minutes in a day for those who didn't know. That doesn't sound like a lot for some reason. And then what I did is I took the number of times that, at least for like American time, our clocks go to 12 and then they restart and go to 12 again, instead of like international military time goes straight through 24 hours. So based on our like American time system, there's only 10 times in a day that you will see numbers that have 3 of the same number in them, such as 111, 222, 333, and so on. Only 10 times a day. So, and that's happening for like 1 minute for each time you see either of those numbers. So I found the percentage, like the likelihood it was to post at 111. So by doing that math, plugging that in and working it out, I forgot exactly the process I used, but basically I just plugged in the math to find the percentage. And the percentage turned out to be 0.7%, so less than 1% chance that I would have posted it at 111 is what the findings showed. So yeah, the math says that was extremely unlikely to happen. Like less than 1 out of 1,440 odds to have posted on a number like that. So just sit with that for a moment, because I feel like this phenomenon happens and can be documented like that. So what we're attempting to do with our numbers report is archive and figure out the math with instances like that, so we can build up data over time and be able to show that objectively to people who may be skeptical and just call people that notice patterns like that, you know, crazy or try and discredit, where literally like the math is showing that there actually statistically is something irregular happening. And then the overall objective is to either prove or disprove that there is in fact a number phenomenon happening. That, in a nutshell, that's the 1111 Numbers Report podcast.
Sweet, man. And how's some of the feedback been from people who have been a part of it or tuned in, or even just like your own personal feelings of how it's been going and things?
Certainly. I mean, there's been momentum building. A lot of people participating in our 1111 Mystery School Facebook group and sharing. We had, from month to month, I think 100 more photos shared from the first podcast to the second one. Somebody from England, Natasha Nanda, she wrote a book called Are You Seeing the 1111? Reached out to us, and we were actually able to interview her on our last podcast. so I can share the link to that podcast too. And she wrote a whole fucking book on seeing the 1111. So, and she has kind of a significant following. I mean, at least on Facebook, it looked like she had over like 10,000 likes or something on her page. But, you know, just would like to reach out to people, and my intuition would tell me that probably a good handful of you, probably the majority, if not like everybody watching this and participating with this broadcast, experience synchronicities, and along with those synchronicities, a number pattern reoccurrence. I guess, does anybody on here see numbers pretty frequently? Could be day to day, could be longer spaced out. All right.
You know it.
Cool.
Well, actually, as we just kind of like segue things here, I'd love to even just take a little bit of this broadcast time to be able to just talk a little bit about what we think about the whole 1111 phenomenon. Because, I mean, obviously we've talked about it before within Paradigm Shift, but it's always relative to go back. And plus, I think there is a key gem within there that the topic of that will actually, again, sort of like give us, equip us with some valuable wisdom that will help, help us on our path, so to speak. But yeah, Nick, go ahead if there's anything more you want to talk, and then let's just kind of practice opening up the circle. And I think maybe as Eddie has something to share a little bit about, what's our best guess related to like why we see these recurring number phenomena, what is happening, so to speak. So totally. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll wrap it up. So the whole point, what is the purpose? If we're able to show that we're documenting, through the math that we're observing or other research methods, that there is a number phenomenon occurring, what's the purpose? Like, why does it really matter? Well, I feel the predominant consciousness on our planet is largely based around science. That's where people are at, how they judge what the reality is. So if we're able to meet people with where they're at in their own consciousness and show them that there is something significant occurring, at least with some people, just show that it's actually tangibly occurring instead of just, I'm saying I'm seeing a bunch of numbers all the time, then I feel like that could catalyze in a way that will make people ask more questions, such as why is it occurring? They would have to become more open to accepting that something like that could occur. And I think that could just open up a giant can of worms to absolutely shift the paradigm. I try and articulate it, the way that we see these numbers, and if we can really pull it through with some science here, we would really be pulling something rather large for the unconscious mind through the veil and just, let it out of the box and let people decide for themselves what they think about it. So I'm going to drop the links in the description below, and any of you guys that are seeing or experiencing the number phenomenon, well, we would love to hear from you. We've got a survey that we got back over 70 responses from the survey asking people about their number experiences, and just the responses. Some people have been seeing them their whole lives, some just recently, but like 70 all reporting, and many more. And yeah, we're evolving, guys, so it's really exciting. So thanks for letting me talk about it.
Sweet, man. And go ahead and just verbally plug your like Facebook page where people can check out the broadcasts and stuff for those too lazy to check out the show notes.
Yeah, so it's broadcasted through a cooperative conscious media company called Third Eye Horizon. It's a member-ran organization. Every member has a vote, and we like discuss in a council what to do basically. So Facebook, Third Eye Horizon, spelt with a 3 RD. There's also thirdeyehorizon.com, Third Eye Horizon on YouTube. I'm gonna try and load up the discussion with the links so it's easier to find for everybody. So right on, fellow shifters. I passed the talking mic or stick back to Brendon.
The talking light. I like it too. Sweet, man. Yeah, I'll take a quick. Let's do that here just for practice. Here, we'll take a quick crack. We'll take a quick crack at the mystery of the 1111 phenomenon, because I mean I've talked about this before. It's one of my favorite topics, just because it is something that is incredibly relatively common. You know, it's something that people can relate to, even people who aren't necessarily into the whole, you know, grand scope of spiritual, metaphysical, consciousness shifting topics. Oftentimes you can just kind of go talk to like your mom and she'll be like, oh yeah, like I see 1111 sometimes and da, 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 or whatever and stuff like that. Right. You know how it is. As for myself, I'll just give a quick insight, and then Eddie and Jesse, if you guys want to say something, give me a thumbs up. If you guys want to say something on this, just take your thumb and go, yeah. If you want to, yeah, okay. Eddie's got something to say. Okay. So there's only a few of us. Anna had to step out. She might be back later, but shout out to Anna as well. You can check her out at Sai Sista Creations on Facebook. We'll include her links in the show notes. But yeah, okay. So my best guess on the 1111 thing. What the hell is going on there? What the heck is going on there? Basically, from kind of what Nick was saying, it kind of comes in waves. It kind of comes in stages. But part of the reason why I think it happens is actually because the universe communicates to itself through the language of symbols. And in the same way, the universe can kind of communicate to us through like the power of tarot decks and divination and, you know, spirit animals and things like that. It can also kind of come to us through numbers, because they are a form of symbols, and the synchronicity of those numbers appearing within our reality relates to the idea that we exist outside of this present moment in a non-temporal sense. This is kind of just the way how I've been able to wrap my head around it. So like when we see the 1111 at that perfect time when we're not looking for it, it's kind of evidence of just kind of this natural flow state that we can get into, where when we are in that flow state, we kind of arrive at the right place at the right time for us to be able to receive these messages, or for meaningful coinciding incidences to occur and take place. So the 1111, it is kind of like this way of just kind of the universe showing to you like, hey, by the way, there's more to this reality than meets the eye. Things are pretty trippy from a non-linear perspective, and things have the ability to synchronize, whether you're fully intending to it or not. And when you do this, it actually begins to establish and open up a form of communication between yourself and your higher self, so to speak. So in a very simple way, that's kind of like this, like the simple way I boil down the significance of the 1111 is that it's actually a way for you to communicate with your bigger self, in a sense. And so what's actually cool is that you can actually begin to program the language that you're using. And this is something I've talked about before. So whether it's 1111s or 222s or 777s, you can begin to develop like your own kind of significance between certain numbers, or even create like a target for a specific number. So again, for my example, this is from what I do within my reality. I correlate the number 96 with the equivalent of how I see 1111 and everything like that. So when I see like 96 when I'm out and about, that's usually a quick indicator for me to kind of know that I'm in the right place at the right time. And some of the ways that this will happen, say I'm like leaving my house and then I have to go back, and like, this is real, this actually happened. So I'm like leaving my house and then I have to like go back and I have to do something, and then I end up like slightly delaying my process or whatever. But then coincidentally, when I leave my house and I pull my car like out into traffic, the car that I pull behind is like 96 on the license plate. So it's just like, oh, okay, like there we go, right? Like I'm like, you know, things, this is kind of like a good omen, so to speak, on my path kind of thing. So, and that's happened plenty of times where I've like been doing free hugs, where I'll be like doing free hugs downtown and I'll really be in the zone. And then I'll just kind of like turn my head, and there's been a bunch of cars going past, but I haven't been paying attention. And then like one will go past with 96 or 69. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's kind of like the universe just giving me like a little pat on the back or like a thumbs up. And for me, it's just like I've already established that communication. So it's just kind of a reaffirmation of just like, sweet, you know, like it's just kind of just a reminder of the fact that this happens on a regular basis, and a reminder from my own discussion with the universe that, you know, things are going good. Like this is, you know, thumbs up, like keep on going type thing. And it's also an opportunity to be able to like reflect on that present moment, to just be able to become more mindful. So kind of as Nick was saying, there's like degrees. The 1111 can first almost be like an awakening initiator element, where people who aren't necessarily spiritually aware will begin seeing 1111 to the point where eventually it urges them to like start looking it up on YouTube. And if you took up, like, if you go on Google and you're like, I'm seeing 1111, some of the first results are like related to the shift in consciousness, related to collective awakening. And then that might lead them down the rabbit hole. And then from there, beyond that initial wake up element of how it works, how it functions as a tool, again, it can be evolved into an actual form of language and communication between yourself and your bigger self, between yourself and your higher self, if you want to think about it that way. And how you turn that into a language and how you turn that into a dialogue is customizable, and it's really up to you. So yeah, that's kind of just like one way of being able to look at it. Eddie, can I pass the talking stick over to you if you'd like to share a little bit more on what you think the 1111 thing is? Let me just get your microphone. Eddie, I'm going to pass the talking stick over to you. Yeah? Okay, cool. Go for it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So a few years ago, oh, hang on. Let me go back even more than that. Back in 2009, I first started to open my third eye. So put myself in an altered state of consciousness, sit back in a chair, close my eyes, open my third eye, allow my consciousness to transition into higher dimensional reality. And once there, the action begins, so to speak. You know, you start communicating with telepathy, you feel things, you see things, you hear things. And that experience, as time passed, started to flow into my awareness when my third eye was shut and I was fully sober. And the telepathy's different. It's more mild. I found the telepathy when your third eye is closed is more like a thought, and you have to learn to differentiate your thoughts and stuff that's coming in. Whereas when your third eye is open, it's like making a telephone call. It's very, very clear. And I woke up one morning, got out of bed, started getting ready for work. And this was a couple of years after that, maybe 2011, 12, something. And I started acknowledging my thoughts. It was the same thought that was just going over and over and over in my mind. And I wasn't willing myself to think this. It was just there, and I was acknowledging it. And that's when I started to realize that it was like a telepathy message. And it just told me to monitor my thoughts when I see triple numbers or quadruple numbers. And that same thought was in my mind: triple numbers, quadruple numbers, angel numbers, the messengers. And as the years have gone by now, up to 2018, my understanding of triple numbers and quadruple numbers have changed to the point where when I first started to see them and acknowledge them on number plates, or when I was in my car, or on the internet, just looking at things, maybe reading something, you get a feeling inside your body when your eyes see that number. You're like, oh, there's another one. And you're like, oh, there's another one. And it turns out they're freaking everywhere. And what I was told was that you have to acknowledge your thoughts just after you see the numbers, because it is a synchronicity. It's like a way non-physical entities can communicate with us, but we don't even know that they exist, and they know that. So it's really hard to start a relationship with non-physical entities if you've never opened your third eye, because first you have to convince yourself that they're real, which is quite hard to do. And then you've got to learn to acknowledge the thoughts in your mind that aren't yours, that it's theirs, and they're sending you a message. You've also got to stay grounded so you don't come across as being crazy, because you don't hear things, you think things, but those thoughts aren't yours. They're put there for you. And all you really have to do is acknowledge the thoughts when you see the triple number or the quadruple number. And it often leads you to pondering on something else. And then that's a stepping stone effect. It goes on to something else and on to something else. And you might then create an idea to help you with a problem in your mind. So, I don't know. I think triple numbers and quadruple numbers are part of the awakening. It's part of non-physical entities communicating with us. It's like a foundation work for telepathy. Learning how to acknowledge the fact that some of the thoughts in your mind were not created by you. They were created by something else and put there for you. That in its own right is a brand new concept for our culture and what we consider reality. And it really sinks home and you believe in it 100% once you've opened your third eye and you've experienced higher dimensional reality, you've interacted there. And a lot of people that I've spoken to who have opened their third eye have only ever done it a few times. And the good stuff for me didn't really start until after I did it about 20 times. And when I did it over 100 times, that was when things really started to get amazing. And my experiences are now more associated with mythology stories and religious stories, going back to our ancestors thousands of years ago. This connections there that you can bring back up to the mainstream. And it's really hard to express what you see, what you feel, what you hear in higher dimensional reality when in a lower dimensional format. So all I try and really do is pass on the fact that higher dimensional reality exists. DMT and being in an altered state of consciousness is how you gain access to it. And once you're there, it's a completely different experience for all individuals. And the more times you go back, the better you get at understanding it. And the more and more help from non-physicals gets thrown your way. Because they realize that we're babies in regards to awareness relative to their awareness. So they have to be very gentle with us. And you just get a drip and a drip and a drip and a drip. And all of a sudden, your glass starts to fill up. And then it starts to overflow and you need a jug. And then you're full of all this wisdom. And it can all be stemmed back to learning how to acknowledge triple numbers and quadruple numbers. And particularly 1111, you know, the 1, 1, 1, 1. That's the beginning. And then you got the 2s, and you got the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and the 0s. That's what used to get me excited all the time. When I would see 000 or quadruple 0, I felt like I'd won the lottery. It was just awesome. It was like something bigger, something more than the numbers. The zeros really sung out to me. They felt more powerful than anything else. And now that it's been, I don't know, nearly 10 years, I smile when I see triple numbers and I smile when I see quadruple numbers. The effect and the excitement's worn off. It's become a little bit more dull to me now because I've developed my thought processes to align with the fact that I don't even need to see triple numbers or quadruple numbers anymore. I've learned to acknowledge the feeling that's associated with seeing the numbers, and when that feeling is there and I don't see the numbers, I still acknowledge the thoughts that come after that. And so I've developed my awareness beyond needing to see the numbers in order to acknowledge the thoughts that get sent to me, to the fact now that a feeling arises in my body and I know, oh, hang on a minute, I'm about to receive something. And then I acknowledge those thoughts, and it usually helps me with something. And I've developed my relationships with non-physical entities where we just generalize a lot of the time now. We tell each other jokes, and I might ask them what they think and feel about something that I'm doing, or maybe something that I can see someone else doing, you know. And so many times when I'm at work, people come up to me and they're like, "Who are you talking to, man? You know, what are you laughing at?" And it's non-physicals. And so obviously I get presented as being, I present myself as being a bit wacky, because when you're standing there and you're laughing at a conversation you're having with yourself, but really it's a telepathy thing, it can come across as a little odd. So I'll try and keep that to a minimum. But this is where we're headed. I feel like, I suppose, another thought in my mind right now, you know, when you're in your car and you see someone talking on their phone, hands-free, you can't see their phone. There's no one else in the car, but you can see them in the car talking and laughing, and they're engaged. They're doing something. Something's happening. But all you see from your car into their car is an individual, basically by themselves, but something's happening. They're engaged, and that's kind of like where I'm at now with telepathy and communicating with non-physicals. It's like a walkie-talkie in my mind, and it all started. The acknowledgement of this ability all started via triple numbers and quadruple numbers many years ago for me.
Cool, man. So you're kind of pumping the fist on that one. You're kind of saying that, like, even like the beginning of your spiritual journey kind of began with synchronistic numbers.
Yes, absolutely. It helped me to.
You got Ruby behind you. Watch out. She's doing something weird. Watch out.
She's dancing. Yeah. So when I first started to learn how to open my third eye and interact in higher dimensional reality, it was a very surreal experience. It took me a long time to feel convinced that it was real and not an hallucination. It wasn't made up by my imagination, and I hadn't done a lot of research. And when I started to look into it, I realized that other people were having similar experiences, and that helped me feel like that when I opened my third eye and I went to higher dimensional reality, it wasn't made up in my mind. It's there, and everyone can access it. You know, everyone sees different things, but you're in the same reality. And, you know, to acknowledge the fact that there is another reality and you can gain access to it, you can interact with it. It's just amazing. And that the non-physical entities that exist there are much older than us, more advanced than us with their philosophies and their understanding about reality. They don't know it all, just like we don't know it all. They're doing their best. But they're like a few thousand years in front of where we're at in regards to evolution and concepts and technology and consciousness and connections. And we're just being welcomed into that reality. But you have to go there for yourself as an individual. Higher dimensional reality, it's like it's there. It's not here. And until you go there and personally experience it, anyone like myself trying to convince you of its existence will have a tricky task, because words just don't do this experience justice. And this is ascension. This is waking up. This is us remembering who we really are. And it can hit you up with lots of big questions because we're not exactly human. It's a temporal experience. And so then you ask yourself, well, who am I if I'm not human? How do I fit into the bigger picture? How does everything fit into the bigger picture? So it can be a little overwhelming, but that's what I mean about what I said before with high dimensional entities. It's just a drip of information and then another drip and another drip, and they slowly build on it, and your awareness and your consciousness kind of grows like a balloon over time, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and you understand more and more, but it has to be done slowly and gently so you don't go insane, so you don't become erratic with your behavior, so you can also help other people as well as helping yourself wake up. And, there's a lot of ways non-physical entities share stuff with us, and the acknowledgement that it's real is the first step in I suppose every individual's ascension, your personal ascension. And it's great. 1111, these triple numbers and quadruple numbers seem to be a fantastic tool that has now caught on globally, and people are finding ways to come together because of it. And then you see people like me that will add a little bit more on top of what you have already become aware of. I'm 150 journeys down the track in higher dimensional reality. I've spent close to 25 hours of our time in 10 to 15 minute bursts with my third eye open, interacting with non-physicals. And the latest group I found take on the form of humans. And that was really fascinating because I met hundreds and hundreds of different spirits that took on all different forms, and none of them looked like humans. And now I've met some higher dimensional humans. And a lot of people think that we are higher dimensional humans as well as lower dimensional humans. But in reality, probably 99.9% of us incarnated as lower dimensional humans are not higher dimensional humans. So when your body dies and this experience is over, your awareness transitions back into higher dimensional reality. Your form changes back into whatever form you were before you incarnated, and voila, you're back. The game's over, and you've had your incarnation. You still hold all of the memories, so you can reflect on it. That's what you get to take with you. You can't take your possessions, but you do get to take your memories. So that's what's so important, to build and create strong personalities and characters for yourself while you're incarnated, to then be able to reflect upon once this experience is over. We've got to love each other and enjoy each other's company while we're human, because we all are sharing the same form at the moment, and we've got this connection as individuals that doesn't exist when we're in high dimensional reality, because I might look like a square and you might look like a circle, and we might never interact with each other. But when we step our consciousness down and we incarnate as humans, all of a sudden I'm a human and you're a human, and we talk in the same language, and we're feeling the same feelings, and we're having this brand new experience where we get to engage with one another. We're not conscious of the fact of who we really are. We're still in a state of amnesia in that sense. But could you imagine that if we had full memory of our higher dimensional selves while we're incarnated as lower dimensional humans, to then be able to share stories with each other of what we do in higher dimensional reality when we're not incarnated? all of a sudden the square and the circle starts getting to talk to each other and share information with each other. And I might come from one side of the universe and you might come from the other side of the universe. But while we're in our bodies here on Earth, we have this opportunity to exchange information. And that's where ascension is headed towards. First, we have to wake up to the fact of who we really are. We then need to allow the amnesia effect to lessen and wear off and realize that we're more than just human. Tap into our old memories, and then voila, we're like this universal hub of awareness and consciousness that's lower and higher dimensional at the same time. And we're like the bee's knees. The Earth is the example for the rest of the universe. It's anyone from any place in high dimensional reality can come to Earth, free will planet, incarnate, share the same form, and then we can evolve together, we can grow together. Whereas without this lower dimensional experience, if all we had was the higher and to exist over here, you might tend to exist over there. And who knows, our differences might turn into something horrible. Whereas now we have this new medium, this Earth, this lower dimensional reality, this incarnation process, where we can communicate with one another, share ideas, and it seems to feel right. It's good. It's done by design. It's on purpose, and we're waking up. We're the first generation that are having these conversations, that are using these words and concepts. And you'd only have to go back 20, 50 years, and this stuff wasn't around. And then there's a reason why this is slowly evolving, and people like Skull are paramount to act like a hub in order to bring us all together, to draw us in. I'm going to just have to pause for a second. Getting a message coming in from my wife. She wants to talk to me.
No worries, dude. We'll meet you and get back to you.
Yeah, that was like an insightful message from the heart.
Totally, man.
I didn't have any preconceived concept or ideas when I expressed that, and I've never really thought in that sense before. But
I think yeah. Go ahead, Eddie. You're still there. There's just a slight lag, but we'll give it a second. Yeah, definitely. Jesse, if you got something to add, we'll pass over to you in a second. Okay, I think.
Yeah. Hang on, she's going again. Yeah.
All right.
Hang on, I'll just finish.
Eddie, go ahead.
Oh,
okay, go ahead. If you just want to finish, then we'll pass it to Jesse.
Yeah. Well, the thoughts in my mind. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I've never thought of it like that before. Where we are non-physical forms of consciousness. We take on many different forms. We all embody different sense of ethic, responsibility, culture, planets. Everything can be different. But when we incarnate and become human here on Earth, we have this united similarity where you're a human and I'm a human. And so there's a connection where before that there was no connection. So if you can tap into your higher self and you can draw in some knowledge and some wisdom, you can then share it. Or you might put it on the internet for someone in the future to come across. That's what I try and do with my videos on YouTube as well. It's great ideas and concepts. Jesse?
Sweet. Thanks, Eddie. And yeah, Jesse, thumbs up, Jesse. You had something to share? And pass over to you. Okay. All right, Jesse, let me just get your microphone. Eddie, thanks again. Jesse, go ahead, man, if you'd like to add.
Okay, thanks. On the topic of non-physical entities and that whole plane of communication, because obviously our bodies are meant to do that, being transmitters. I want to cautionally say that they like there's non-physical entities that will kill us, basically. Like, because if we start relationships with some, we may not even know we're in a relationship, or we might get attached, and it's it's um, it's it has its danger. So that's just my knowledge about that and what I've gone through being a medium. So I'm trying to actually clear myself, because I know I'm not in perfect health. I know none of us are in perfect health. So a lot of the time, sickness comes from an entity, non-physical entity. So actually, I would rather communicate with non-physical entities that will have grounding in physical earth, you know, which is safer, because sometimes we can be speaking with something from who knows where, or some, other people can be carrying things from who knows where. Very expansive universe out there, and there's like an infinite amount of possibilities of what something could be. So just be careful, because they'll literally things start killing us, and that's because human body is supposed to be going a different direction, but it wants to go on the easy path. They say it's the easy path, but I guess so. Yeah. Be careful for Lucifer. I don't know.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, definitely. That's something that has definitely crossed my radar in many ways. Like the idea of just being able to protect ourselves when kind of like working within these higher dimensional realms, so to speak, or just like understanding, the idea that, like maybe not everything that we cross paths with is benevolent, so to speak, or how do we identify the intentions of these entities. And these can also be something that can be like practically applied within our dream spaces, where you could actually like question an entity's intention, or people get into the idea of talking about like creating like a white force field around yourself to be able to do that. It's kind of one of those things where I would just encourage people to like do more of their own research, use discretion when approaching these topics, and just understand that like there is a degree of precaution that you would want to take that doesn't necessarily have to be fear fueled at the same time. I personally haven't really had like any sort of like direct negative experiences with other entities and stuff. Like the only thing that I can think of is like when I've had like sleep paralysis and I've like seen like creatures on the end of my bed and stuff like that. But even then, I wasn't like, I didn't like associate them as being like the bad guys out to get me, so to speak. It was more just kind of an experience of sleep paralysis that had another lesson in itself or whatever. Jesse, did you want to share something? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, man.
It could be anything from any lifetime, for any reason, like cause and effect. And it doesn't necessarily have to be this lifetime where we develop these relationships with non-physical entities. Like it could be a mother who drowned, like held her baby and drowned with the baby. Like she's still carrying that lifetime to lifetime. So yeah, it's also working on our karma, and I think everybody is speaking to non-physical entities. Really, it's the work we're doing. And I mean, opening up your third eye could probably bring us to those higher dimensions, right? Where we could get a glimpse of what it's like to be free.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, and I mean, again, like there's a lot of different ways that this conversation can naturally branch, and we are going to get closer to wrapping up the broadcast in the next little bit. We'll just kind of take some time here to practice talking a little bit. I'll share some of my just kind of like what's been happening on my end in terms of shiftiness and things like that, and just kind of like doing a tarot card reading and a micro meditation to end off the broadcast and stuff. But yeah, you get into this idea of and I share this with the intention of it actually helping understand like kind of what's happening almost behind the scenes from like a multidimensional perspective of what this earth is and stuff. And again, this is all just best guesses. It's all just information, connect the dots how you will. But it's basically that idea that, and it was kind of already said by both Jesse and Eddie that there's kind of like other dimensional entities that exist like within this same plane as us, and they can kind of attach to humans as parasites, and they will actually almost like feed off of our quote unquote like negative habits, so to speak. So sometimes, and again, I'm just kind of like saying this off the cuff of my head, but think of it how you will. But like even when people get into addictive habits, be it like even like pornography or eating or like abusing drugs or things like that, there could almost be kind of like this background story to understanding why it's happening that some people would approach, and that is like this idea that it's not even just like the individual, but it's also like this like entity that is kind of like nudging them towards these habits, because the entity is like feeding off of the energy that's being created by these habits and things like that. So I mean, like again, whether or not like someone subscribes to that belief or not, it can kind of help understand sometimes that simply by being aware that this may or may not be possible, it does in turn help give the power back to ourselves by realizing that, sometimes these actions aren't always just our own, but sometimes they're being influenced from like a multidimensional level. But we do have the ability to bring the power back into ourselves. And sometimes like those entities even exist as teachers in themselves. They will sort of exist there for us to be able to, cultivate our willpower to be able to rise above like the temptations that they help invoke within us. But again, this is just an idea. Maybe what do you guys think? Eddie, I'll pass it back over to you. 1 second, Eddie. So again, let's get close to wrapping up this broadcast, guys. It's 12 a.m. on my end, so we've been going for almost 2.5 hours. So again, let's just finish up on this topic without it going on for like another half hour, but I know it could, and we'll always make time for future broadcasts and discussions. And then from there, we'll get into some closing, some tarot card and the closing micro meditation. And there's only just me, Eddie, and Jesse in the broadcast right now. Everyone else had to leave at this point, but thanks for everyone for tuning in. Eddie, go ahead, man. If you just want to add some more insight onto what it is that we're talking here, kind of, give people some additional wisdom to equip themselves with.
Okay. So I can add value to what you just, said then. A human body, a physical human body, is designed to facilitate 3 forms of consciousness. One needs to incarnate and be the driver, but then it leaves an opening for 2 other forms of consciousness to be able to come and go as they please. Now, this is something that nearly all of us on this planet are not aware of anymore. And so we don't live our lives accordingly. It was noted, I suppose, thousands of years ago by our ancestors, and the modern representation of it in religious philosophies is called the Holy Trinity. It's the most famous philosophy on the planet, and so it should be, because the Holy Trinity expresses an understanding that our bodies can facilitate 3 different forms of consciousness within one form. So you've got to think of your body like a vessel. It's like a car. You need a driver, but then there's extra seats available, and you can have passengers. And it's often denoted as being possessed by negative or demonic forces. That's when you share your body, you're possessed. No one ever talks about the positive aspect of it, which is the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. And when you are unconscious to the fact that three spirits can facilitate one physical form, and they drive that physical form via consciousness, the thought processes, you as a driver, if you're not aware of your own thoughts or your own body's thoughts not being entirely your own, they could be put there by your passengers as they come and go, then sometimes those thoughts can actually influence the way you drive the vessel. So it's like a backseat driver. They'll say, turn left, up here, turn right, go faster, go slower, run that red light. And if you're not conscious of the fact that you've got a backseat driver in your body adding thoughts into your awareness, then you can become like second to that, or you can unconsciously submit to that. So your backseat driver becomes the driver and you become the backseat driver, even though it's your body, it's your vessel. And I think humans need to realize the fact that whether you're spiritual or not, whether you come from this culture or that culture, it does not matter two hoots. Every single human body has been designed to facilitate three forms of non-physical consciousness. One needs to incarnate, and two can come and go as they please. And when they're in your body, they can communicate with you via your body's thoughts. So you have to practice meditation. You have to practice mindfulness techniques to learn how to acknowledge your thoughts and be aware of them in the moment they occur. Or you'll react to your thought. It might not be something you desire 100%. Things might go wrong or might turn out not exactly the way you want, and then you're left to deal with that, because that passenger might go, hey, I'm out of here, thanks for doing what I wanted. And then you've got to pick up all the pieces of their destruction. And what I've learned in regards to attracting and repelling non-physical entities into your body, because they can come and go as they please. It's like opening up a door. You can't lock the door. There's no way to protect yourself. What I've learned in regards to protecting yourself is that your Merkaba energy, which is basically your overall energy of your existence, of your incarnation, is what becomes the attractor or the repulsion. So you have to learn to live your life with certain character traits and a virtuous nature that then is like a calling card or an energy that will draw in different entities. So if I live my life a certain way, say that represented red, then my physical form is attractive to red spirits, and they're the ones that I want to come into my body and share some thoughts with me and maybe add value to my experience, whether I'm conscious of it or not. It happens, and it's the way reality is designed. So you have to learn how to be morally righteous. You have to be conscious of choices and virtues, because if you live your life unconsciously and you're not personally accountable for your behavior, and you get into nasty stuff, you get into dangerous stuff, you get into destructive habits and behaviors, that is going to create an energy that will then attract similar non-physical entities to come and share your experience and add value to that experience. because there really is no rights or wrongs. There's just experiences and energies that are associated with that. Obviously, we create laws as physical humans and say, well, we, as collectively as a group, we don't want murder to occur. We don't want stealing to occur. These behaviors actually hinder our ability to move forward and to be constructive. So we say, all right, well, we're going to outlaw that. If someone gets caught doing that, there'll be a consequence, there'll be a punishment. So we try and educate ourselves on what is right and what is wrong relative to the times, relative to our sense of morality, our cultures, our traditions. And as obviously as time moves forward, things change. But the fact that our bodies can be facilitated by three spirits, that's been since time immortal. And that's why the Holy Trinity philosophy that was developed by the Gnostics in ancient Egypt, that then transformed into Christianity, is still just as relevant today as it was thousands and thousands of years ago. And the fact that most young people have zero interest in religious philosophies nowadays is a little bit confronting, because if you don't learn to live your life as an adult being morally just and righteous and conscious of positive and negative energies, then you tend to gravitate towards the negative because there's less effort needed. It's easy to give someone shit, but try and uplift someone's spirit. It requires more thinking. So it's a lot harder. So hopefully as time passes by, this understanding comes back into the forefront of spiritual communities, that all religious philosophy, it doesn't matter which one, focuses on morality, the awareness of morality, and that then stems back to the Trinity, that then stems back to the third eye, that then stems back to higher dimensional reality. And it's like a circle that's coming around. But it's just taken a few thousand years for us to get back to where our ancestors were in ancient Egypt. They knew all these things and they devoted their culture. 3,000 years. You had a superpower on this planet that was global, that was spiritual, that was higher dimensional, that was just amazing. But then the fall came. Our awareness dipped. We didn't place a high value on morality, and that then transformed the energies and allowed more negatively orientated non-physicals to share our bodies with us. And that drove technology, that drove evolution, that drove philosophy. And, here we are in the year 2018, since the birth of Christ, which is the Trinity, which is awareness, which is the representation of everything that I'm talking about. And we laugh at religion. We think it's bullshit. We've lost our sense of morality. We've lost our social connections. It's really is what they call the end times. And it was supposed to result in destruction. But thanks to people like us, communities like us, we've planted new seeds and we're revigorating humanity collectively. And this basically, what we're doing is religion. It's just not presented as such. It's exactly what our ancestors tried to do. Come together, talk about life, help each other, uplift each other's spirit, figure out concepts that add value to culture. And we're getting there slowly. We're the new generation on the planet. But the point of what I have just spoken about is the fact that a human vessel can facilitate 3 different forms of consciousness. One has to incarnate and become the driver, and 2 others can come and go as they please and what will come and what will go is directly related to morality, to the way you drive your vessel and think your thoughts, feel your feelings, and interact with others. So, yeah, very important. Mindfulness, awareness, righteousness, sovereignty. Couldn't emphasize them more. They have to be embodied, so you will then be an attractor to positive, uplifting spirits that will send you messages through 1111 and triple numbers and quadruple numbers. It's all connected, but our awareness at this stage is like a baby compared to theirs. So you've got to believe in it. You've got to convince yourself it's real. We've got to build community, and then another generation will come, and another generation will come. We'll become the old men and women. But we're the seeds. We started it. We reinvigorated it, and we stopped the destruction, which was going to be the Third World War, the end of days, all that religious bullshit, the 200-year plan by the Illuminati to take over the world. And we stopped them. We won. We defeated the negative, the darkness, and we did it simply by coming here and shining our light, raising our awareness, and acting as beacons of hope and inspiration and connectiveness. Yeah, that's my little rant.
Awesome. Thank you, Eddie. Yeah, just I'll just kind of throw in a couple other ideas in there of just kind of contributing to what you've already shared. Well, first of all, like, there are many battles and the war continues. It definitely is something that, like, this light and darkness, not even necessarily light versus darkness, but like the juxtaposition of the two, the synergy of the two. It is a dance that will go on and on and on, because the fact that there is darkness is always going to be there, because that in itself is a call to action for the light guardians, for the light warriors and things like that. It will just appear in different ways and different forms, and at some points it will be less, and at some points it will be more, but it is something that is always a part of who we are, and so it's not something that we have to necessarily, again, always destroy, but more so understand. And that is where we are able to find the balance. And something we talk about is the idea the truth is in the gray, so to speak. But definitely we have accomplished a lot simply by being here, as Eddie's saying. And I want to kind of mention the idea of like guides and stuff, because again, I'm just kind of thinking along the things of what I'm working on within my review for A Wrinkle in Time, which I recommend people go and check out, because it's a lot to do with stuff that we talk about in terms of shifty themes. But with guides, we're talking about this idea of these like fifth dimensional guides being able to help assist us through sending synchronicities or sending other messages or communicating to us through dreams or other ways. As a guide, I would say like they're most useful when they simply point us in the direction of the path rather than walking the path for us. And that is like kind of the relationship that I see is between ourselves and these quote unquote guides, or like higher dimensional entities that seem to still play a role within this reality, yet do not necessarily complete the objectives for us. They may at times even point us in the direction of an objective or give us the objective, but it is up to us to be able to walk those paths ourselves, because that is our strength. That is our strength to cultivate. That is our experience to earn in that sense. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of add into that. Okay, it's 12:18 right now. I know I said we're going to get close to wrapping up the end of the show. We did have John, who recently just joined, and I wanted to be able to just acknowledge him and say hi to him. And plus, I did just want to be able to just allow for other people to add in any voice into this discussion, because again, the reason why we do these circles is a chance for us to be able to share what needs to be said in these moments. So if John has something that he feels needs to be said, that he wants to be able to share, for the community to be able to hear, for himself to be able to hear, then this is a time to do so. So Eddie, thank you again, man. Really appreciate it. And I know you're getting some love in the comments as well. People are just again reiterating the fact that what you're saying really makes sense to them. One of the person actually said that, said this speaker really makes sense to me. So Eddie, thumbs up, man. I really appreciate your wordsmith. So John, let me just check in with you. John, give me a thumbs up if you're good to kind of say hello and stuff like that. Sweet. All right. So John, we'll pass the talking stick over to you. And hey John, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Sounds perfect. Awesome, man. Well, you're kind of familiar with the routine here, so allow me to pass you the talking stick and welcome to the circle. And if there's anything you would like to bring into it, then now is the time. Please go right ahead.
Cool. I'm just really glad to have joined. I'm sorry it's partway through or right near the end. Had a lot going on, and time zone being different makes it a bit tricky for me to join in all the time. I've been away in Spain for a month, eating raw, drinking spring water, and then diving back into addictions and smoking and all sorts of things, but ultimately making a plan for the future to do exactly what I just caught the end of Eddie saying. So focusing on personal development, healing, working with guides, doing what I'm told, which improves my experience and then the experience of others. So I didn't really have a lot to say, but I caught the end of what Eddie was saying, and I really appreciate him for saying all that and ultimately mirroring everyone.
I think we just had a small little hiccup there with John, so we'll just give it a second. But yeah, John is one of our friends. He is in the UK, hence the time zone difference. And if John is still there, John, you're still there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it just kind of glitched out there for a second. But John, I was just gonna actually ask you, because I've been seeing you posting on Facebook, and you've been still going out and doing some free hugs here and there, and
a little bit, just
a little
while
bit,
I was
yeah.
on holiday. And while I was on holiday, holy day, for a month in Spain, connecting with people that need healing, a little bit of free hugging, but it was quite tricky because I was in a tourist town and there's a lot of older people there and they're a little taken aback, and it's a foreign country as well and they're not quite sure. But a couple of international people, a couple of the younger people kind of left their parents and came over and wanted to give me a hug, and I'm going back out there with my free hug sign, so we'll see.
Cool, man. Awesome. Oh, it's good. It's you know, people were asking, it's like, where are the good places to do free hugs? Like, you can literally do free hugs anywhere, even if it's in a place where, like, you know, the reception might not be the best. It's still a worthwhile adventure, considering people will still see it. And I mean, again, there are right and wrong ways to do free hugs, but yeah, we've talked about that in other broadcasts and things. We just feel it out, you know. So
There is a couple
yeah.
of things I'd like to add, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, there's all sorts of things like Marvel's Agents of Shields and the movies that are out there that are about superheroes, and it feeds into Paradigm Shift Central and everything that you're doing. And lots of people out there, a large percentage, are experiencing what it means to be a superhero through watching films and TV shows.
Okay, I think we just got a little blip in the connection.
Not yeah, but when you actually realize what's really, there's other experiences going on in our human.
Yeah, I think John's connection is just a little shoddy, but yeah, definitely echoing what he's talking about the idea of the activation of the superhero archetypes. That is definitely becoming more and more mainstream. It's a powerful thing. Sorry, John, you were cutting in and out there a little bit, but we heard you talking about kind of like the activation of the superhero archetype in us.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that's real, not something that you need to experience just by watching somebody else doing it.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, I was hitchhiking for the first time ever, and I held my free hug sign up, and within 5 minutes, I immediately got a lift. And the only reason I got a lift was because of my free hug sign. The woman who picked me up said, "Oh, I only picked you up because of your free hug sign." And I immediately got the lift I needed to the place I needed to go, and an incredible experience of learning a massive amount all about animals, the food industry, from someone who's on the front line. So yeah, my free hug sign may not have got me a lot of hugs recently because I haven't used it a lot recently, but it has sparked all sorts of conversations, and I've given them to people that I think really need them, and they're going to share the free hugs. So
awesome.
That was it, really.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful update in itself. Yeah, it's a good little practical tip to use your free hug signs when you're trying to get a ride. I agree, it works. I haven't tried it myself, but the time will come when I'll definitely try it. So I haven't gone hitchhiking much myself, but I will. Cool, awesome. All right, thanks, John. Is there anything else you want to share at the moment, considering we're getting close to wrapping up?
Not really. I don't want to extend it past any further.
I appreciate you being here, man. You're dedicated to the shift, and it's important to be able to have fellow captains on board. So thank you again, John.
Thank you.
Awesome. Sweet, guys. So yeah, as I said, let's get close to wrapping up this. I wanted to do a quick tarot card reading in the next minute. I just want to be able to share a little bit, segueing off what John's talking about, a little bit of some of my own free hug adventures that I had over the past couple of weeks, just in terms of my own kind of like introductions. And again, normally this happens like way at the beginning of the episode, but now I get to save it for the end. So I'll just do it really fast. Within the past couple of weeks, let's see, I'm getting over a cold right now, and I'll just kind of say is that, I feel that's something that a lot of us may be going through. Like, we're probably going through like sniffles and colds and stuff. Something to keep in mind, and I've talked about this before in other broadcasts, is just the idea that like when we have like a basic common cold or something, by the time we're done having that cold, we're actually healthier than what we were before we had that cold, because not only are we literally purging out like mucus and snot and stuff, we're also like purging out like emotional energy or energetic energy in that sense. So if you feel that like you've got a cold, then just think of all the wonderful things that you're probably purging along the way, and you'll feel a lot better by the time you're done, and just in time for spring, so to speak, depending on what continent you're on. So I'm getting over a cold, so that's really cool, because like that's part of the reason why I didn't do a broadcast last week, but it allowed me to kind of like come up and to arrive for this broadcast with like an extra degree of excitement and motivation and energy to be able to share with the community. In the past couple weeks, there was I'm working on my review for A Wrinkle in Time. That's a movie that I recommend you guys go see. There's some potent themes in that movie. Like, it's literally about activating the light warriors, and it's all about like multidimensional reality, fifth dimensional beings being able to use the power of love to transmute fear. It's an old book based on the 1960s, written in the 1960s. But yeah, like, it's, again, going back with what John was saying, what we've been saying, it's about activating the potential within ourselves, and part of the way how we activate that potential is simply by gaining the wisdom of the abilities of that we already have. And again, something that I was talking about way in the beginning of the broadcast is related to the idea of like cymatics, and related to the idea of just like how cymatics, that's like when you put salt on a speaker board and you run a vibration through it, and it creates like a symmetrical pattern depending on the vibration. We keep in mind that our bodies are emitting these vibrations all the time, and love in itself has its own frequency, and that frequency is associated with harmony, the shape of harmony, the shape of symmetry that we can recognize. And so when we carry the vibration of love, we are creating the patterns of symmetry and harmony with us where we go. And so that's why doing things like free hugs or just holding love in a general sense is a way of being able to help change the world. It is a superpower because it allows us to potentially walk into a situation where things may be be chaotic or in disharmony, and love will actually be able to transform things back into a state of harmony. So that wisdom is something that's mentioned in the movie of Wrinkle in Time, and again, like that wisdom is a weapon for us as light guardians. It is like our sword. Simply knowing, the power of what it means to be able to be consciously carrying the vibration that we choose in that moment, be it love or be it whatever. So that's working on that conscious movie review is something I'm working on there. You can check that out once it's online. I'll probably get it online next week. It's taking me a little bit longer. I think it's gonna be like a 30-minute video, but I'm trying to get it down to even shorter, but it's gonna be like over 20 at least. But it'll be like kind of like an essay, so there's a lot of work going into that, but I'm happy to be able to share with you guys because it in itself is like a call to action and an important medium for a bigger message. And prior to that in the week, been keeping busy. Also last week, what was last week? Yeah, last week. Wow, okay, time's kind of trippy sometimes. But anyways, on St. Patrick's Day, I went out and did free hugs, and that was just something I'm reporting back on, and that went well. And I did actually film a video of that using my GoPro and my other camera, but unfortunately my GoPro footage got corrupted because I used an old memory card. So I think that video actually is going to be scrapped entirely, unfortunately, unless I somehow salvage something just from like the other video footage, which isn't the best, to be honest. But that just kind of is like, hey, I've got like literally like lots and lots of other free hug videos that I've filmed from over the years that deserve my attention, that can still be edited and still have the same message to them that we can still put out. So going back and going over like old videos is something that I'm going to be working on more in the future to be able to share with you guys, because there's literally like tons of them that I've got that just from my ambition over the years of documenting the shift and everything. And the overall though, the free hugs on St. Patrick's Day went great. There's not too much to report up there that isn't just the obviousness of just going out there and holding the vibration and letting people come to you and talking with drunk people and giving them buttons and connecting them to my local paradigm shift community, and that's been awesome. And in the past couple weeks, the paradigm shift meetings have been going good. And the one that we had last Friday, we talked a lot about the idea of observing reality beyond language, which is a very interesting topic and something I'd encourage you guys to continue as a discussion, either in your own communities or just with friends, is the idea of, we perceive reality through the concept of language. So what does reality look like when we remove the concept of language? And that is, something that can be like directly felt or directly experienced through our senses. Like how does a child perceive reality? What does it mean to perceive reality as a pure of heart? So these are all kind of interrelated themes. And that was a really good discussion that we had at our meetup group. And again, that's at Paradigm Shift London, Ontario, Canada. And we meet up on Fridays at the Tea Lounge at 7 p.m. And that's at 263, no, what is it? 23, it's on Piccadilly Street in London. Look up the Tea Lounge or just go to Paradigm Shift London on Facebook. And prior to that, I was going to mention is that in the past couple of weeks, there's been like this big experience that I went through where a good friend of mine passed away, and that fellow is a man by the name of Roy McDonald. And some of you would have seen me post about this, but this really affected me in some big ways, but also inspirational ways. Roy McDonald, he was a man who spent many years busking on the streets of London, Ontario, Canada, and strategically kind of played the role as like the wandering hermit or the fool in a sense, or very much like the wizard, where like if you didn't know any better and you saw him on the street, you would think he was just like a homeless man. But he was actually like this incredibly wise philosopher and published poet, and again, like a busker as well. So he was friends with me for quite some time, going back to like 2011 or even earlier when we would have first met. And he was a big supporter of what Paradigm Shift was, because he himself was a light warrior in his own way, a light guardian in his own way, bringing love out into the streets. And so his passing was very synchronistic. yeah, and there's more kind of to that that I won't necessarily get into. But I wrote a poem about him, and I ended up actually being asked to share it at his funeral, and that was a very powerful poem. And a lot of people kind of complimented me on that, and that poem is actually up on my YouTube as well for those interested in checking it out. And yeah, and then in the following weeks, we had like another celebration of his life, and I filmed some stuff there. And so part of what I'm actually working on is using the footage that I've gathered from the recent weeks, as well as footage of Roy that I filmed over the years, is actually almost put like a mini documentary together of Roy, to be able to share a little bit about who this man was for people who may have not known him, or for people who know him. So that's just another thing that I'm working on, just because I feel called to work on it, and because it's one of those things where I know, like, if I don't, who will, type thing. And Roy was a good friend of mine, so this is a way for me to be able to help share that with others. And yeah, just an incredibly wise man. He always had this kind of saying, it was like this little poem that he wrote, and the poem was basically, be kind to yourself, uh, be kind, including to yourself, for everyone is carrying a heavy burden, so be kind to yourself, was kind of one thing he was saying. And I think that's, again, just like that simple little reminder of, you know all of us are constantly kind of like in this dance to make it look like we've got our shit together. And I think the reality is that all of us are kind of dealing with our own struggles. We're all dealing with something. It's there isn't a soul on earth who is like, completely perfect. There are stages that we go through that are very bliss like, but even still, those are transient, and it's only just a matter of time until reality throws a curveball at us, and we have to deal with something that can be emotionally daunting or stressful or something like that. But in itself, that is how we learn. So again, always just being mindful of that we as humans are always learning, and you never know what somebody may or may not be going through. But again, that just kind of encourages the reason as to why it's important for us to be compassionate and understanding towards each other, because you never know what somebody's going through. So anyways, just letting you guys know that's what I'm working on, the video related to Roy, more free hugs videos, other Mystic Spider-Man videos of free hugs that I got to get caught up on, some journalism videos from rallies that I can do. And again, the Wrinkle in Time. I still have to do the Star Wars video. That's actually going to be kind of, again, more of like an essay. It's almost going to be like rewatching Star Wars with me while I analyze some of the scenes, and kind of talk about the significance of what I see them as. So that will be like less of a review and more of kind of like an analysis of rewatching it kind of thing. But again, like that's like a huge task. That's like a huge essay. So trying to be able to work that in with everything else is part of my objective. So I promise you my best efforts. That's what I promise you, and I appreciate your patience. Other than that, I will just say that's pretty much what I've been up to and everything, and a lot of just like personal growth, trying to hang out with my friends, a lot of dynamic lessons that have been happening that aren't necessarily relative for me to share. But nonetheless, I can assure you that I've been growing, I've been opening my heart, and I've been expanding. And on that sense, just a little message for you guys is that, and this is something I say between my friends and even between my partner, is the idea of, what is our objective? And our objective should be to continue to open each other's hearts and to inspire each other. And I think if we're focusing it just on that in itself is powerful. Like why are we doing this? It's like, or even reflect, like, are we opening each other's hearts, or how can we open each other's hearts? And obviously that can be like, a subjective concept in itself, but yeah, just like a little thing. But I've definitely been, my heart is continuously opening. And I do feel that, like as I continue to grow, I only continue to become wiser. And that's the beautiful thing about age is that, yeah, it's like, we're all dying. Like, we know that, but we're all living at the same time. So it's important to be able to acknowledge just the wisdom that we gain through age, and how that wisdom can in turn allow us to be able to have more, to be able to provide back to the community and such. So yeah, it's exciting to be able to have the full spectrum. Oh yeah, and another thing, this is what I was up to the week before. and some of you would have seen this. That was me working at this new like ninja gymnastics camp, and I was training kids there and doing like Jedi training with them, and that was like a huge thing. That was like I was working there all week, and I'm still working there on weekends here and there. I was just like, and you know, odd hours and stuff when they need me. But that in itself was a great experience to be able to learn alongside the kids and to be able to just like see them overcome their fears, to be able to see how fearless they are when given the space to play. And again, this is like a parkour gymnastics gym, and yeah, we were doing lightsaber training, and there's a video of it up on my channel, so if you want to go see that, please go check it out. It's only got about 120 views on my channel, so if you watch it, please feel free to like a comment and just like the video and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's been exciting, and that's been another thing that's been on my journey and how I've been leveling up. And yeah, and then in terms of just regular paradigm shift stuff, I'm still just working on, again, being able to help manage the back end stuff for the website, being able to help feature your guys' community content, being able to work alongside you guys in the Discord chat, making sure that I'm present online in a good sense, without sort of like over exhausting myself and still finding time to work on my other stuff. And yeah, in terms of the future broadcast, I don't have a direct answer in terms of what the next broadcast will be. But I'm satisfied with how this one turned out. This is good, and I want to be able to keep the momentum of it. So let's assume that we'll have a broadcast next week, though stay tuned for the information on that. But it could be possible that I might kind of like start pushing the broadcast every other week and then start having off-air broadcasts on Thursdays. And part of the reason for doing that is because these broadcasts, as much as I love them, they do take up a fair chunk of time, including the promotion leading up to it, the hosting of it, and the post-production of it. And so that just means that if I'm committing to doing those in each week, it just means that I'm also not able to commit as much to other projects, such as working on other videos. So when I'm not doing a broadcast during the week, then that just means there's more videos coming out sooner. So again, just working on finding the balance there as best as we can to be able to help support the community as best we can. Because there's a lot of great videos that I want to be able to share with you guys, including the Journey to Lucidity movies. And yeah, and that's another thing, is that like the Lucidity Festival is actually happening in the next couple weeks. This is the first year that I'm not going to the Lucidity Festival, which was planned in the past 5 years to film the Journey to Lucidity movie. And that was because of the last one last year. That was the intended to be the last one within the saga, unless we somehow decide otherwise in the future. And so like I don't plan to go back to Lucidity until I finish like those 5 movies. So maybe I'll go back next year. I'm not entirely sure. But again, I know there's a lot of other things that deserve my attention, and that's part of the reason for me not just like wanting to like believe me, part of me does want to go back to California. I will miss it, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of other things that deserve my attention, and I want to be able to give that attention in a way that will best serve the community. So yeah, and other thing to mention is that coming up is the full moon. That's coming up on Saturday, so happy full moon to everyone ahead of time. Those of you guys would have been paying attention, you would have seen that last month we were working on doing a guided global story meditation for Project Deep Sleep was the storyline it was called. Stay tuned for that. That is kind of on hold also because my computer is still not able to properly connect to the broadcasting platform, Blog Talk Radio, to be able to do that properly so that I can add in the music, which is how I've done the other broadcasts, the global story meditations in the past. But there may be one more idea that I got to work around that and stuff, but that's just like technical backend stuff. But yeah, I want to be able to do that story in the future. So unfortunately it won't be this full moon. I don't know about doing it on the new full moon, but it may just actually mean having to wait till next full moon, but it will align when the time is right. And I assure you that will be like an awesome story because I already got it written out, and I was really pumped to share it that one day, and then it didn't work. So yeah, I'm just kind of sitting on that, but that'll come in the near future. Other than that, just reminding you guys that the Patreon is totally there for you guys to add your support to, and thank you again to those of you who have added your support on the Patreon. Again, that's a monthly micro contribution of $3 to $5, and that's totally voluntary, and it helps support the ongoing evolution of the project. It allows things to continue to be free for the community. Nobody has to pay money to be involved with the Paradigm Shift community or be involved with these hangouts. You know, it's all accessible, it's all free in that sense. So the contributions from the Patreon allow that to happen. They help with the back end website costs. They help support me as an artist in terms of doing this as my full-time job and everything like that. And yeah, just as a quick note, the Patreon does kind of fluctuate from here and there. So there was a point where we were like at around 900. Now we're floating around 800. That doesn't necessarily mean that people have like stopped contributing. It sometimes just means that people have put their donations on hold, or people have changed their financial situation, so then they have to like remove their donations, and then they let me know and stuff. But anyways, happenstance has just put us at about 800, but that in itself is also an invitation for more people to be able to add their support. And I do have some shifter booster kits ready to be able to send out to those who add their support. And again, when you add your support, you get your shifter booster kit with laminated free hug signs and your shift buttons, which again are meant to be used to share and wear, and they have the Paradigm Shift Central website on them, so they're super effective. Just ask Jesse. He got one 3 years ago, and now he ended up here in the Hangouts and everything like that, along with, you know, everybody here has got their own shift buttons and stuff in the broadcast. I know I've sent them to Eddie, I've sent them to John, and yeah, again, those are available when you sign up for the team Patreon, and your support allows us to continue to provide these shifter booster kits at an incredibly affordable rate for other people in the community. And again, if you're signed up for the team Patreon, you want to get your shifter booster kit, or you want to get a Light Guardian crystal, which comes with your shifter booster kit, then you can just like order a few more buttons in the future, and then we'll include your Light Guardian crystal into your shifter booster kit. And again, that also comes with like the color changing Light Guardian crystal. And believe me, these things are fun to dance with. Like when I go dancing, I have like one in each hand, and I like love playing with them and stuff. So cool. So yeah, again, patreon.com/Brendon Culliton. You can sign up on Patreon. Links are into this video. If we can get some people signed up after watching this video, that would be great, considering it is the end of the month and that's when the donations go through. So if you're a fan of what we're creating for the community, then adding your support to the Patreon is an awesome way to be able to help support it for everyone else. So thank you so much. And yeah, with that said, we're going to move into our tarot card reading, and then we're going to wrap up this broadcast. Before we do that, I just want to be able to open up the microphones if there's anybody in the circle that just wants to be able to share anything else in this moment. So if anybody wants to share anything, just give me like a wave or a thumbs up if you would like to share anything in this moment, like either like a message for the team or just like some other point or idea. And if not, that's totally fine. It could even wait until after the tarot card reading. So that's cool. Okay. Jesse, give me a thumbs up if you wanted to say something. Your hand's kind of off screen. I couldn't tell if you were just scratching your forehead. Thumbs up. Okay. All right, Jesse, we'll just pull up your microphone and pass the talking stick over to you. Go ahead, man.
Oh yeah, I got to split soon.
Okay.
Feels like it's time. So it was a lot of fun being here, of course, you know, sitting and listening. And to wrap up this broadcast, since it revolves so much around non-physical entities, I think that I'm starting to realize that the paradigm shift has so much to do with non-physical entities, because a lot of them are the most stubborn to shift their ways of thinking. And there's a bit of an indoctrination that goes on with this. So I've never really thought about the paradigm shift related to, you know, I always thought about like human beings having to wake up, but these non-physical guys have to shift as well, you know. Well, some of them at least. We can help like change them, or at least show them the way, the path, because obviously our planet is fucked because of what we've allowed to come through us. So that's where the paradigm shift starts, and I mean that's so much about the paradigm shift. And I'm just starting to like really wake up to that as well, and I could maybe start doing work, because before I was just a part of being somebody else's puppet, you know. Other things were controlling me as well before I finally said that's enough. Like, I don't want this anymore. Like, dying basically. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a. Sorry, say that again.
Be warriors and fight for the truth.
Be warriors. You know what? Yeah, no, that's a good point. You're right. That's something that's not usually commonly thought of. I can even admit I don't always think about that. The idea that, yeah, like we're shifting our consciousness, and then like other entities are like who aren't necessarily physical are going through their own shift in consciousness as well, perhaps. And maybe it's up to us to kind of lead by example in that sense, or at least our example inadvertently affects them in some
Or
way.
drive them out of here, but with
Yeah.
energy that's the opposite of what they are. Right?
Yeah, you take away what they feed off of, and then they'll starve them out or something like that.
Or you kind of, this is the expression I've heard from a friend, is you bring them to the feet of God, and they kind of like, they and they dissipate to wherever they have to go.
Word.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely touch base more on that. And I mean, yeah, again, it's kind of like a lot of this stuff is just like trying to put it into the words is challenging because a lot of it's like ineffable, but we're working on it. It's all just practice.
Working on it,
yeah. Cool, man. All right, Jesse, is there anything else you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm only just starting to wake up.
We're all waking up, man. Appreciate it. Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, man. Great. Eddie, you wanted to say something? I'm just gonna preface this by just saying, just short and sweet for now, if you don't mind. Eddie, go ahead. Just double check your mute, and when you're ready. Oh, go ahead, Eddie. You still got yourself on mute, I think.
There you go.
Well, yeah, you're good now. Okay, go ahead.
I suppose just wanted to add one more thing. If anyone ever gets a chance, have a look at monatomic elements. It's very important. Most people are aware of the fact that fluoride in drinking water creates a numbing or docile effect for our consciousness. And in order to counteract that dumbing down effect, teach yourself about monatomic elements, in particular monatomic gold, monatomic copper, monatomic silver. When an element is in its monatomic form, meaning a single atom rather than joined together with a bond, you can eat it, you can put it inside your body, and it's not toxic, and it actually has a positive uplifting effect with the strength of your awareness, your natural ability to comprehend information. So it seems the transition metals in the periodic scale work best for an uplifting effect, and then other elements, I haven't studied all the negative ones, but in particularly fluoride creates a dumbing down effect, a slowing down of your awareness. So it restricts your ability to construct new ideas, to think in an advanced way. It's almost like you live your life in a primary school type awareness rather than learning how to develop it into a secondary school awareness or a university or awareness, or even more beyond that. And that's what monatomics help a human body do. And unfortunately, fluoride has been put into our drinking water by older generations that had attracted negative entities into their bodies that then provided the thought processes and the motivation to do such things. And we need to transform that understanding into its opposite and get rid of fluoride out of drinking water and start putting monatomic gold into drinking water. And then we will naturally become smarter and able to comprehend information effortlessly. What was hard will become easy simply by transforming the elements inside of our body, or the monatomic elements inside of our body, to allow our central nervous system to work more efficiently. Our ancestors did it, and they became very advanced with consciousness and spiritual concepts. But unfortunately, with this fall, with this darkness that's taken over this planet, the result is fluoride in our drinking water. Everyone is being dumbed down instead of amplified up. So, yeah, I'll just end with that. Teach yourself about monatomic elements, monatomic gold, monatomic silver, monatomic copper. when you ingest them, it amplifies your natural ability to comprehend information. It doesn't mean you're going to become smarter. It means your ability to become smarter will be easier. You still have to apply yourself. And you'll breeze through subjects with ease rather than them being overwhelming or too hard to understand. And then your IQ comes up. That then allows you to practice mindfulness techniques. Your EQ comes up. And then when you combine your emotional intelligence and your emotional intelligence quotient, your EQ and your IQ together, that represents your total awareness. And since I've started taking monatomic elements, my IQ has gone up about 20%, which has then allowed me to mature faster with my emotional energy. That has then allowed me to think about spiritual concepts and new ideas and create solutions in ways that I was never able to before, because my mind has evolved, it's ascended, it's become stronger, and it's through lifestyle choices. So definitely teach yourself about monatomic elements because they're so beneficial, because it lays the foundation for your mind to be able to comprehend information with ease. It's like you're a genius and you don't even have to try. It's you've upgraded your processor, your computer's just got better, and now everything works more efficiently. And we've got to break away from monatomic fluoride in drinking water because that just slows everything down. I'll end on that.
Sweet. Thank you, Eddie. I was wondering whether or not you'd talk about monatomics this broadcast. You did. It's good, though. Someone was just asking in the comments, are you taking Ormus? Is that similar?
Yeah, so Ormus is orbitally rearranged monatomic elements. That's what it stands for. Yes, so Ormus is a name given to individual atoms that are different elements on the periodic table. Now, usually Ormus is a combination of different elements. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. It really doesn't matter, I've found, what monatomics you ingest, but when they're in their non-monatomic form, they've got the bond holding the atoms together. Usually elements that are highly conductive with electricity are the best in monatomic form for our body's natural electricity or energy to work better. So we know that gold, the metal gold, is highly conductive for electricity. So when you transform the atoms and the bond, which is the metal gold, back into a single element format, it then presents itself as a white powder rather than a gold metal. It still holds similar properties with energy. Now, obviously, it's not electricity. It's more like a static electricity. I don't know how to explain it properly with scientific words, but I have learned that elements that conduct electricity, when they're transformed back into a monatomic state and you put them inside your body, you eat them, then it amplifies the electrical impulses in your body that your central nervous system uses, that your senses use, that then all come together in your mind to create your awareness of reality. So our ancient Egyptian ancestors used to take the metal gold and they had an alchemical process where they were able to remove the bond of the atoms, and it would then turn into a white powder, and then they would use that white powder, they'd mix it with flour, and they would bake bread. and then they would hand the bread out to all the people. They'd feed the people with monatomic gold presented or within as an ingredient within bread, and it was known as the food of the gods because it amplified your consciousness, your awareness. And then if you went through the mystery schools and got taught how to open your third eye with an advanced energy in your body, or your central nervous system could cope with a higher amount of energy, it then allowed stronger or more intense non-physical entities to be able to interact with you. And that's what gods and goddesses are, non-physical humans. They're very strong with their intensity, with their natural energy. And unless we step our energy up closer to theirs, it's very hard for them to interact with us consciously. So eat monatomic gold, learn how to open your third eye, do it as many times as you possibly can, very slowly, step by step. It takes years to get up to the advanced stages, and hopefully then your body's physical energy will be in a similar alignment to non-physical human energy, and then they can work with you in your body. That's what the Trinity is: the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. The Father is a higher dimensional male, the Holy Ghost is a higher dimensional female, and the Son is a physical human, be it male or female, it doesn't matter. But in today's day and age, the rise of equal rights and stuff, you got to put yourself back in the mind of when these concepts were created. Women didn't really have a say in things, so it was always men, 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 men. But it's relative to everyone. Monatomic gold, amplify your energy, learn how to open your third eye. You will be able to then interact with higher dimensional humans. You can learn about the Holy Trinity. That can then lead on to developing higher dimensional senses that work in a lower dimensional format. And before you know it, you'll be performing miracles left, right, and center, and people will think you're a god. And it's reality. It's there. It's thousands of years of history of stories. People saying that it's true, it's real, we can do it. It's not hocus pocus. It's not a fantasy, and it has been kept hidden. It's been kept secret, and we have to rise back up and reclaim our power. We are more powerful than we could possibly imagine, and our consciousness has an ability to transform reality via the thought process. But you have to amp everything up. And right now, while we're down really low, our minds aren't working properly, our memory's not that great, we've only got 5 senses instead of 12 that are active. We're struggling, and that allows the negative entities to come in, to share their thoughts into your awareness. And if your awareness isn't developed enough, then you tend to act on those thoughts, and before you know it, they're ruling over you. And that's what these negative entities are. That's what these archons are. That's what these demons are. There's many words to describe non-physical entities that have a negative orientation in regards to the personal experience they desire. And when you raise your awareness of what's going on through simple conversation, by reading about history, then the fear goes down, the inquisitive comes up, and before you know it, you will be doing it, and you'll be helping transform this planet, person by person, step by step, hangout by hangout. So it's been fantastic being able to connect in today. So thanks, Skull, for this opportunity.
Thanks,
I really appreciate being connected to you, mate. It's fantastic because we're so like-minded.
Totally, man. I appreciate it. And I know, again, just kind of like giving you the chance to just kind of talk there for a little bit goes a long way for people who are listening. So appreciate it, man. Sweet. Well, there will definitely be more of it. I know we could just like unwind for like hours on end, I'm sure. So That's a great part about this type of content. There's you know, it's you never run out. There's always something to talk about. So
yeah, absolutely. 20
always
years of
something to explore.
dedication.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So sweet. All right. Unless there's anything else, I think we're ready to move into our tarot card reading. Eddie, is that good to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Sweet.
I'm interested to see what tarot you pull.
Right, I know, right? All right, okay, so let's do that. So, so moving into the tarot card reading, one thing I was just going to mention right before doing that again, you know, just out of this broadcast, consider this, you know, a call to action, an invitation for you to step into your own missions of further transformation and continuing to reflect on what are the different ways that you can help shift the paradigms, be it through creating of art, be it through going out and connecting with community, be it by doing free hugs, be it by creating a physical paradigm shift community, be it by sparking those little conversations, by being mirrors for each other's growth. Just as a quick example, one thing that I'm feeling called to do as the weather gets better and as I get over my cold is to literally spend some time during the mornings of weekdays downtown doing free hugs in my city, like kind of at like one of the main intersections. And I'm thinking about doing it both kind of as my regular self and also as Mystic Spider-Man version of myself, just to be able to kind of create like more of that overarching mythos that we are creating through our presence as shifters, as free huggers, as real world superheroes. So besides, I figure if I'm like downtown doing free hugs and stand outside of like the news building, it'll only be a matter of time until someone like ends up like I end up in the newspaper or something, which is kind of cool. So, but I'll be in control of kind of like how and when that happens. So far, like I'm my own media and stuff, but yeah, that'll be part of the intention. It'll be help spreading the good vibes and stuff. So just wanted to take a brief moment here just because even just before we get into tarot card reading, I just want to be able to send some love and some acknowledgement. Over the past couple days, there was actually a very unfortunate story that broke on the news, and it was about a family in California whose van was found at the bottom of a cliff on one of the main roads, and it was a family of like it was like 2 parents and 6 kids, and they were adopted kids. And as far as I know, all the kids died, like the entire family died in this car crash, which is a tragedy. Part of the reason why I'm mentioning this is also because though I didn't know them directly, they were friends with a lot of my friends in California, and one of the kids was actually he had dedicated himself to doing free hugs, and so he was actually well known, and there's actually like a well-known photo of him during some protests back in 2015. It was either like Ferguson or somewhere else, I forget, but it's like him like hugging a police officer, and his name was Devante, and I just wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge you know, his passing, and just like expressing gratitude to his spirit for all that he did, because I know you know, in his short time on earth, he was only 15 years old, he accomplished a lot, and just again, you know, it's another shifter is, you know, helping us out from beyond the physical, and yeah, just sending some love out there to Devante, to the families, and to all the people that knew them. And again, you know, the memory lives on through the love that we continue to share. So every day there are more free huggers, there are more shifters who are awakening into that purpose. And yeah, it's a really beautiful thing when you dedicate yourself to it. So thank you to Devante for leading by example. So with that said, just want to take some time here to move into our tarot reading, and then we will pretty much wrap up the broadcast. It won't be like a long meditation at the end. It will literally just kind of be like a couple breaths to kind of close things off. And part of the reason for that is I'm getting tired as well. That's part of just what happens when we do these broadcasts for a few hours. But again, that's what I show up for. That's the importance of being able to hold space, and you guys supporting me in doing that makes it totally worthwhile. So let's move into our tarot card reading. So I've just shuffled the deck, and this is the Ananda tarot card deck. So we're just going to draw a card here. And again, in the same way we were talking about synchronicities and numbers and all that and symbols, this is another chance for the universe to communicate to us through the power of symbols. And when we do this, it's really interesting because like what we get is exactly what we need. So join me in taking a breath here as we collectively just kind of focus our intentions. And then we'll just choose whatever card the universe wants to choose in this moment. So just taking a breath. Oh man, my nose is all stuffed up. All right, choosing a card. Oh, great universe. Show us what we need to see. Bloop. All right, so the card that we are choosing is Flames 4. So here is the card for Flames 4, and let me just open the book here. One second. 4. 5 of Flames, 4 of Cups. Here it is. Right here. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just going to read this to you guys, and you guys can just kind of listen to this as your meditation. The image of the flame, I'll read, well, it says it here anyways. The image. Surrounded by a hazy shimmer, a light source shines in all 4 directions above the warming distance of a peaceful landscape. So yeah, just reiterating, it's a landscape. It's kind of got like water and trees and mountains, and then above it is almost like a single star that's really bright, and it has like a kind of like a 4-directional compass point to it. And again, this is 4 of Flames. So the 4 of Flames is like a giant star. Again, I'm explaining it because some people are going to listen just to the audio of this on MP3. You can look up Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes to get the MP3s, or just go to the main website under radio. Meaning, the individual's energetic power is what brings him into contact with his fellow beings. The powers to renew, to enliven, and to create impulses give witness to clear goal setting. Connecting with the dissimilar sets the conditions for creating new life, as well as keeping current life processes in check. Sharing the joy of existence with fellow beings gives the individual his particular personal charm. So just taking a second there to reflect, definitely relative to what we were talking about here today. Again, we're talking about basically the importance of community, the importance of me, knowing that creating these spaces are important because it gives me a chance to not only share my own passions, but it gives all of us a chance to reflect on all of our passions, and out of that, create shared inspiration. He who recognizes the beauty in things brings beauty to life in himself as well as in others, whether it is on the level of personal relationships or collective events. The purpose of love is to be awakened and to grow, and not to be used for selfish reasons. Attachment results in standstill. Love renews. I'm just going to reread that again. That's very powerful. Whether it is on the level of personal relationships or collective events, the purpose of love is to be awakened and to grow, and not to be used for selfish reasons. Attachment results in standstill. Love renews. Going on. Curiosity and lust for life keep the inner self young and awaken vital energies. The interest in fellow humans builds the foundation for coming together as community and affects a stable basis for future undertakings. Exactly what we are doing. Through mutual support, one's power is made more potent within the community. The central thought of the 4 of Flames is the maintenance of the inner light through the connection of each person to the whole through love. Home is where your heart is. So that's 4 of Flames, and yeah, once again, like I would say that's really in tune with what it is that we are creating here. Again, just focusing on the importance of community, and yeah. Through mutual support, one's power is made more potent within the community. So yeah, the idea that, each of us are powerful, but when we come together as community, we all become even more powerful. That's a very, like my strength is your strength. Our strength is the strength of the tribe. Astrological significance: Venus, Mars, Mercury, square aspects. Keywords: union of opposites, eroticism, communication, creativity, renewal, grace, spontaneity, joy, radiance. Traditional meaning: instinctiveness, carnality, contact high, cheerfulness, sensuality, and zest for life. So again, that's the 4 of Flames. So yeah, that's very powerful. Not too much more that really needs to be said on that. I think that speaks for itself. Again, just like we are that star in the sky. We are that beacon of light as much as we choose to be. And again, building community online, building community in our local communities, that's a very powerful thing. So And that's the beauty of this shift in consciousness, is that there are always going to be those objectives on hand. So with that said, unless anybody else has anything to add right before this, we're just going to move into a closing meditation, and then we're going to wrap it up. Do either of you guys have anything you want to add? It's just literally just Eddie and Jesse right now, and Fennell, who the thing is just offline but present, just listening at least. Eddie or Jesse, do either of you guys have anything to say? Not asking you to say anything, but just checking if you do. No, you're good. Okay. All right. So let's just move into our closing meditation. So I'm just like turning off my lights here, dimming my lights. And so again, I just invite you guys to get into a place of stillness. So just without having to make this complicated, we're just going to keep it quite simple. And we're going to move into this micro meditation. So just inviting everyone to find a place where they can just relax your shoulders, relax your face, and just connect with your breath in this moment. So gentle inhales through the nose or the mouth. And gentle exhales. Oh, yawn there. Through the nose or the mouth. Again, just allowing the rhythm of your breath to naturally unfold. Just in these next few moments of silence, literally just a few moments, just allow yourself to be present with what this silence feels like, while also becoming extremely aware of your own light, of your breath within this silence. And so as you continue to breathe, just allow yourself to feel a white light within your chest with each breath, just continuing to grow as it slowly, like a warm liquid flame, begins to move through your body, a white liquid golden light. With each breath, just filling your cup, filling your body up, to the point where you just imagine yourself, you see yourself as the illuminated being that you already are, knowing that you already are this incredibly divine, incredibly beautiful, incredibly sacred being of light, disguising itself in the illusion of the flesh of the 3D. And so just breathe here for just a moment. As you continue to hold this thought in your imagination, just begin to imagine, be it from whatever perspective you choose, the idea of all these other sparks of light igniting around the earth. And so each one representing a person tuned into this broadcast, a shifter in whatever sense of the word, literally to the point of every human being, yet not necessarily needing to visualize it at this point. We're just visualizing the idea that there are those of us who hear this call, who exist throughout the world, in different cities, on different continents. And then together, as we breathe, imagine points of light connecting between all of us as we collectively create a shared grid around the earth. And so just taking the next few moments, just imagine this grid around the earth, this sacred geometrical grid, and its fuel is connecting right back into your essence, right back into your being. And so just take the next few moments here to just breathe in with that visualization. And as you do, you breathe in the collective efforts and the collective momentum and inspiration of all of us who continue to move forward with intention to be able to help shift paradigms and assist with the shift in consciousness. So just breathe here for the next few moments. And so while we are still here, before we conclude the meditation in the next moment, just allow this space to verbally express within your heart, within your mind, even out loud, any words that you would like to share with all the shifters out there, any expression of gratitude that you would like to share, while at the same time also receiving any gratitude being sent back to you through the imagination of your connection with these other shifters. So just taking this moment here to express and both receive gratitude for everything that you are, everything that you have always been, and everything that you are continuing to become, as we collectively continue to boost, fuel, and inspire each other on this journey together, which has been our journey all along. Our journey is not only to help shift consciousness, but to be able to be present for each other as a tribe and to remember what it means to be family. So just breathe here in this moment as you express and receive gratitude to all the other shifters out there, either in this dimension and beyond. So just take a couple more breaths here and just bring extra attention to the mindfulness of your thoughts in this moment. So again, with your eyes still closed as we get ready to conclude this meditation, personally, from my own seat within this bigger story, just thanking you for all that you continue to bring to this bigger story, for the keys that you carry, for the gifts that only you possess, for the unique perspectives that you bring, that you share, for all the compassion that you have and continue to cultivate, for all the artistic abilities that you continue to express, for all of the strength that you continue to demonstrate as an example for others. And so move forward with a gentleness that will allow you to bend, for there is strength within your softness. There is virtue within your vulnerability. There is courage within your compassion. So to all the shifters out there, to all the light guardians, I see you. I love you. I am you. Aho. And so just take another couple breaths here. Sending love out far and wide, embodying it into ourselves beyond just words. Feeling it, feeling the connection, knowing the connection's there, knowing that it is there in any moment simply by thinking about it and reminding ourselves of it. And with the white light still filling your body, maintaining that concept beyond this meditation, bringing your awareness back to your breath, taking as much time as you need here. And slowly, when you're ready, bring your awareness back to your physical body. Wiggle your fingers and toes, and gently open your eyes if you choose to, and return your awareness to the space around you. Awesome. So, with that said, thank you again, everyone. Awesome job tonight with tonight's broadcast. We still got 6 people tuned in live at the end of tonight's broadcast. Honestly, that's a thumbs up. That's a thumbs up, man. Like sometimes we only have like 1 or 2 by the end of the broadcast. So bonus points to whoever listens to this, bonus points to those of you who listen to the MP3 of it as well. After you listen to this or whatever, please feel free to comment. You know, again, your guys' feedback though not necessary, is greatly appreciated. It really does help establish more of just ongoing communication. So, little side mission for you: if you're listening to this broadcast, leave a comment, let us know, like it, share it with your friends. Again, you can check out this and other broadcasts online on the Paradigm Shift Central website. Just go under the radio tab or go under the Central News, and you can scroll through them there. It's all pretty accessible. There's a lot for you to explore, including quest journals from other conscious creators within the community, and of course, inviting you to submit and create your own quest journals to be able to help document the shift in consciousness. And of course, encouraging you to be able to go out there, do free hugs, create physical paradigm shift communities, continue to work on yourself. And yeah, lots of amazing things that are happening from week to week. And again, you're invited to come in, join in for future broadcasts, and share a little bit about your story. Introduce yourself to the team, because you are a part of the team. If you're listening to this broadcast, you are part of the team. So thank you for continuing to carry the shift with you. And again, reflecting on the intentions of this broadcast, the intentions of this broadcast are to be able to just continue to help spark the spirit. Let this be medicine for your spirit. Let this be medicine for your soul. And yeah, continue to keep sharing that inspiration further with you out into your day-to-day lives. And the little things make the big difference. So before we officially conclude, I'm just going to invite Eddie to add any final words, or even give some sort of like blessing or anything like that to all the other shifters out there. So Eddie, any final words as we conclude this broadcast? And thank you for helping wingman it with me today since the beginning. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, sweet. Is my microphone unmuted again?
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. I'm just holding up a little.
Is that the Orlight?
Yeah, that
was the Orlight.
Yeah.
I sent Eddie an Orlight from Canada, and he's got it.
Other side of the world, man. It'll right.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I just had a look on my desk. Over the years, I've collected lots of little spiritual ornaments, so to speak. And this is one that I picked up at a market. It is a clock. It's just a little pharaoh. He's got his head gear on, and the two serpents on the top representing royalty and kingship. And I've also got the time. The battery stopped working, so I set the time to 11:11, and I've had this thing sitting on my desk for years. So yeah, I thought that was a bit of a synchronicity.
There you go.
Talking about 11:11. So yeah, 11:11. There's ancient Egypt. There's the pharaohs. They knew all about the afterlife and what we call higher dimensional reality. There's some monatomic gold. So it hasn't been refined 100%. It's got a bit of a rose tinge to it instead of being pure white. But yeah, there's that. And I'm in my bedroom. If I can just reach over. So I'll get out of the sun. I got this one too. Have you ever seen that statue, Skull?
I've seen versions of them.
Yeah. So that represents the Holy Trinity.
Yes, it does.
So the little person in the middle is a physical human. That's represents us, the sun, or Horus, I suppose you could say in the ancient Egyptian stories. And then you've got a male and a female. You know, you can see that's a female, and that's a male, and they represent the higher dimensional entities or aspect of the Holy Trinity. And they've also got their headwear on for symbolic representations of attributes within their personalities. And it's all full on. So it's all there. So I like to use that in the middle of my bed, just where I sleep. I don't know. You gotta live it. You can't just have this stuff as a hobby. You've got to become being spiritual. You can't just say, "Yeah, I'm spiritual." You've got to you don't have to do anything anymore because it's just who you are. You don't have to try because it's just who you are. You learn how to be instead of do. You know, and that's a Buddhism thing or an Asian spiritual philosophy. You know, but it's all relative because it's a human concept. It's a human philosophy. And yeah, go to ancient Egypt, go to China, go to India, go wherever you want. You know, it really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. If you're human, you're human. We all share emotions. We all share awareness, and we have to learn how to rise up together through the positive advancements of each ancient culture. Take the best bit of theirs, the best bit of theirs, the best bit of theirs, best bit of theirs, combine it all together, and we will have a unity and a strength that has never been seen before on this planet. And then we can reach out off-world and different planets, different creatures, different everything. But until we find ourselves, you know, we wake ourselves up and realize that there's more to being human than just being human. That's when things are really going to start getting interesting on this planet. And we are the leaders. We are the wave of spirits that incarnated to set things up for the next wave, just like the wave before us set things up with books and radio shows and magazines. And now we've come along and going a bit more high tech with social media, and that's appealing to the youth. And you can only imagine what the young people that are teenagers now are going to transform to in 20 years, where we're at
potentially now. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. So we all do our little bit. We all we create that snowball effect where as time goes by, it gets bigger and bigger, and before you know it, we've done the impossible. We've transformed awareness. We've allowed the planet to ascend to the next degree of consciousness, and we will fully believe in non-physical entities, concepts, philosophies, technology. It's mind-boggling. We're on a threshold of transformation that this planet has never witnessed before, because it's global rather than cultural. It's not about one small group of people or one culture evolving their awareness of reality. This time round, it's planet-wide, and we're using the internet to help each other connect and support and provide positive reinforcement that, you know, I don't have any friends that are close by that I can have these conversations with. So it's fantastic outlet for me to be able to express myself, and then develop the concept more in my mind. What am I going to talk about next time? How am I going to improve the conversation? Whereas if I didn't have this, then I'd be stuck. I'd be a solo artist. And, you know, I'd get old and die and write a book and leave it behind like our ancestors did. But we can really do stuff now.
Yeah, we can get a lot done, yeah.
Yeah, we're connected. And the paradigm, the Earth's paradigm is transforming. And we really need to learn how to lead. We don't want alien forces or non-physical forces stepping into that leadership role. We've got to do it ourselves. We've got to keep our sovereignty, and we've got to dig out a bit of ground and hold it. And that the broader community that is outside of Earth's paradigm is immense in its magnitude. And if we can't represent ourselves with a strong sense of sovereignty, as Earth humans united together as a global force, then we'll lose control of our destiny with evolution, with technology, with spirituality, because other groups will step in to fill that void if we don't step up and fill it ourselves. So
we gotta step up, yeah.
Absolutely.
We're doing it, though. We're doing it.
We are. Exciting times. And ever so gracefully, drip by drip, step by step, we're expanding our awareness. We're strengthening our sense of sovereignty. It's drawing in more positive entities to help share with us their thoughts in our bodies. And we're winning. We are the example for the rest of the universe, physical universe and non-physical universe. Everything that's happening on Earth at the moment, at this point in time, is an example for others to inspire towards, because it's so unique. There's so much variety. There's millions of individual paradigms all unfolding simultaneously. Whereas what I've learned outside of Earth's paradigm is it's less generalized and it's more specific. So this planet will be good at this, and the entities on this planet will be good at that. Whereas Earth is a mix of everything, and because of that,
Full spectrum,
because of that mixture, we have an opportunity to create and explore and evolve in ways that no other creatures can. So yeah, very, very proud to be connected and here at this point in time.
Yeah, there's kind of a quote that I'll kind of end on. Again, this is actually from Wrinkle in Time, that movie I was talking about, but it's to those whom much are given, much is expected. So, you know, we've been given plenty, so let's make the most of it. There's a lot that, you know, is expected of us in terms of how we hold that opportunity and what we do with the consciousness that we have. So sweet. All right, Eddie, any like last, like literally just like last sentence that you want to share for the other shifters out there that just you've already said more than enough.
I'll leave it at that. That's, you know, if
anything, I got a question.
Be true to yourself. You know, as an adult, learning how to be personally accountable for your thoughts and actions towards yourself and other people is absolutely critical to learn about sovereignty. You know, if you can't be personally accountable, if you can't raise your awareness and think the thought, should I go through with this, before you actually do, then you're letting yourself down. You've got to feel empowered. You've got to feel sovereign. You've got to be righteous. You've got to step up and own every aspect of your existence. And there's no excuses. Be a leader. And then do it from your heart, from heartfelt spaces and compassion, and things will improve in your life and get better. But it all comes back to being personally accountable for the thoughts and feelings inside your body, inside your mind, before they transform into actions. And that's what mindfulness is all about.
Cool, man. Awesome. Well, that's a great place to end. Yet, as we know, it never ends. It's just a story of constant new beginnings. So, Eddie, thank you again, man, for helping co-create another awesome broadcast. It's been super appreciated having you here, man. I'm glad it worked out with the holiday and everything. So, sweet. All right. Well, with that said, we're ready to officially end this broadcast. Just a reminder, if you're a big fan of what Paradigm Shift Central is about and want to support the vision, then you can do so on Patreon and get your Light Guardian Crystal, exclusive Light Guardian crystals available only to those who support on Patreon and all that good stuff. So thank you again to all the Patreon supporters for help making this broadcast possible. And yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, please feel free to message me. Of course, you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/SkullBabylon if you're not already on there. Be sure to like this video if you're watching it in the future. Leave a comment as well. Share it with your friends. Tune back in for future episodes. Create a profile for free on the main website. Submit your own question journals. Go out there. Shift paradigms. I've already said all this. Do free hugs. Create a paradigm shift community. And keep asking questions. And yeah, keep working on yourself. So with that said, we are going to end this broadcast. So as always, keep it shifty. And we will see you in the future. Eddie, join me in saying farewell to all the people of the internet as we officially conclude this. So until next time, shifters. Good night, guys. And good morning, wherever you are.
Keep it shifty.
Keep it shifty. That's right. All right. Okay. Thanks again, guys. Explore more at ParadigmShiftCentral.com. And remember, the shift is you. Until next time, we'll see you in the future. Much love, peace, and wholeness.